Suspension expire.
Bihari says in hindsight he should have supported the extension of Mkhwanazi's suspension. Thabiso Koba, Eyewitness News.
President Cyril Ramaphosa has lauded the National Revenue Service for being one of the state's outstanding achievers. Over the last financial year, SARS collected 2.3 trillion rand, the highest amount in its history. Writing in his weekly newsletter, Ramaphosa says in many ways, SARS is the standard bearer for capable state. Lindsay Dandlinger has more.
After years of corruption, political interference and leadership purges that led to a commission of inquiry in 2018, President Cyril Ramaphosa says SARS has emerged as a credible blueprint for rebuilding institutional capacity following an era of state capture. He says SARS has been a trailblazer in the use of technology to make it easier for taxpayers to meet their obligations. The president says given its achievements in recent years, it's unsurprising that SARS is regarded as one of the best tax authorities in the world. 7 years since the Nugent Commission of Inquiry, nearly all of its recommendations have now been implemented, including restoring capable leadership, compliance and enforcement capabilities. Ramaphosa says the building of SARS illustrates the value of commissions of inquiry. He says the state will use SARS as an example of what can be done to restore institutional integrity in its efforts to build an ethical and capable state. SARS is set to change leadership when the extended term of the current Commissioner, Edward Kiswetter, ends in April. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News.
Forensic investigator Paul O'Sullivan will finally appear before the Police Ad Hoc Committee tomorrow after refusing to appear due to safety concerns. O'Sullivan had earlier given the Parliament Ad Hoc Committee probing police corruption the runaround and refused to appear physically, saying he fears for his life. But after lengthy discussions with Parliament and its legal team, O'Sullivan has been convinced to appear in person. Baba Lundenza reports.
Paul O'Sullivan and another potential witness, alleged ANC fixer Brown Mokgotsi, initially refused to appear before the committee in person until their security demands had been met. Speaker Toko Titiza rejected a request to subpoena O'Sullivan, saying the committee hadn't done enough to resolve his request to appear virtually. But after further discussions with O'Sullivan, he decided to drop his demands and will now appear in person. Committee Chairperson Soviet Lechanyane.
And the name of the witness is Mr. Paul O'Sullivan. He will be here tomorrow, and on Wednesday is a physical appearance. We want to thank the legal team and the security team of Parliament when we met in our last meeting to say that they must continue to engage with him.
Meanwhile, Mokgotsi is expected to make his appearance on the 24th of February after the committee requested another extension. Baba Londense, Eyewitness News.
A charity organization is among those calling on government to take steps to protect people from powerful dog breeds. This follows the death of Michelle's Plain woman who was fatally attacked by her 2 pit bulls last month. Faisela Swart succumbed to her injuries in hospital on Tuesday. The Sizwe Kupelo Foundation's Sizwe Kupelo.
This is an unfortunate death. It's been a long time since they promised to do something about the breed in the country. We last met them in February 2023. So almost 3 years have passed and government has not come up with a solution.
Gold is trading at $5,000.59 an ounce. The rand is at 16.04 to the dollar, at 21.86 to the pound, at 19.04 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $68.05 at barrel.
Well, at this stage in the Melrose area, we still have slow-moving traffic. This is heading towards the Joburg CBD on the M1 southbound. Between Ethel Oakland and Killarney Bends in Midrand. Also slow-moving traffic traveling towards Pretoria. Expect about a 20-minute delay N1 northbound between Ellendale and Olifantsfontein Road. And in Benoni, we still have that accident scene on the N12 eastbound. This is after Tom Jones slowing down traffic.
In your sport, the Proteas out to make a ruthless statement against Canada in their opening game of the T20 World Cup. Miguel Cardoso backs Mamelodi Sundowns to find a way to win in their final CAF Champions League group game. And the Blitzboks strike gold in Perth.
A fine Monday in Gauteng, temperatures have peaked at highs of between 27 and 32 degrees. The top story in Eyewitness News this hour: Ekurhuleni municipality suspended head of legal Kamraj Bihari has been grilled over his choice to not support the decision to extend the suspension of corruption-accused senior Metro police officer.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
Calling all the brightest minds in Gauteng. Time to flex your general knowledge smarts in the brain of 702. Enter now on primemediaplus.com. T's and C's apply.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app, DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
"702 Drive with John Perlman" is proudly brought to you by Telkom Business. Possibility begins here. Good afternoon, everyone. It's 8 minutes past 3 on Friday, the 6th of February. This is 702 Drive with me, John Perlman. Wherever you are listening to us in 702 land, welcome to the show. An IPID report just released has raised questions about the stringent steps KZN police have taken to use lethal force in fighting crime. More on that after 5. In other stories, we'll reflect on a dispute between two of Johannesburg's leading schools, King David and Roedean, with the former accusing the latter of anti-Semitism after the cancellation of a sports event. Lorraine Schrager, principal of King David, joins us after 4. We have invited Roedean to join the conversation. They initially declined. We've let them know that King David will be coming onto the show, and we'll update you if they actually decide to change their minds. Last week we talked about the impact of AI on learning and the integrity of academic life. Today, something I must say I've never thought about until I read this article: the possible impact of the huge data centers that AI requires on our energy security. They consume a lot of electricity. This is a big issue in other countries, by the way. Journalist Tony Carney has been looking into this and joins us at 10 to 4. And in about 20 minutes' time, the Proteas will bid for a second global title when they begin their quest to win the men's T20 World Cup. Aidan Markram's men in action against Canada in Ahmedabad at 3:30. We'll be chatting about 10 minutes before that to cricket writer Stuart Hess. Do we have a good chance? I suppose in T20, a lot of teams do. On the markets, the JSE is starting the week on the back foot with the all-share down by 530 points. Italtile is down by 4.3%, Sasol by 2.5%, and Anglo Gold by 2.1%, despite a 0.86% rise in the gold price, which is currently at $5,011 an ounce. A better day for Karoo, up 2.4%. We Buy Cars is up by 2.2%, WBHO, the building company, up by 1.9%. The rand is currently trading at 16 rand and 3 cents against the dollar. A euro will cost you 19 rand and 3 cents, and 21 rand and 85 cents will get you a pound. Brent crude is currently trading at $68 and 25 cents a barrel, up in price by 43 cents. Stephen Critters joins us with all the market news at 25 past 4. We'll have sport with Tola Kele Mganga. Khumotso Modise has the latest news headlines, and Karabo Chale is keeping an eye on the roads. This is 702 Drive. We're live in the place where you live, and if it's happening in 702 land, you will hear it here first. With your help, of course, if there's something that you hear or see, give us a call on 072 702 1702 or give us a ring on 011 883 0702, 11 minutes past 3.
702.
Let's walk the talk.
So I had a really interesting afternoon in a restaurant over the weekend. I was in the Winelands in the town of Wellington, needed to find a place to watch and torment myself by watching Arsenal play football. So we were given a table right near the kitchen because that's where there was a big screen television. And the football was great, but eventually the restaurant had this crisis because they were incredibly busy a bus arrived with 35 hungry schoolboys and girls, and they had to make like 35 pizzas and 35 milkshakes, plus some meals for the teachers, really, really fast. And it was fascinating to see the kind of pandemonium that ensued. But it did make me wonder. First of all, I just have to say absolute respect at the way they just made all of this happen. I've never seen people produce food that fast. But I was wondering, where do you like to sit in a restaurant? Because some of you may have been dining out this weekend and either you got the table you liked or you got a table you didn't like. Do you like to be near the kitchen and get a sense of the hustle and bustle and occasionally sneak a peek if it's an open plan restaurant? Do you absolutely not like to be near the door because people keep coming in? You get distracted. Back to the wall because maybe you got enemies and you want to be able to check out the whole room. Tony Soprano style. I don't know. I'm not enormously fussy. I do like to be near fresh air. Jonathan Fairbairn, restaurants, where do you like to sit?
Yeah, good afternoon, John, and to our 702 family. So, I'm not particularly fussy, but I if I get seated in these areas, I would probably say, can you maybe put us somewhere else? So I don't like anywhere near the entrance.
Yes.
Near the toilets.
Fair point.
Or close to the kitchen or the cash sort of area, where the pay points sit and all that kind of thing.
Yes.
Just because there's just so much activity going on. But I have a very close friend, and we'll often go out with them on the weekends to places. And I purposely arrive late for that engagement because, like, if I'm the first there with my missus and we go and we sit down somewhere, he will be like, "Oh, why'd you pick this place? Why this spot?" But not the restaurant. This particular area inside. I'm like, "Well, because what's wrong with it?" Then he'll say, "No, but look at the lighting here." And I'll be like, "Oh, okay." Then he'll say, "Oh, but now who's going to look at the wall?"
Yes.
He's got all these things, right, when it comes to being in a restaurant and seating at a table. So very, very fussy. So I generally just go a bit late, and then he picks the place. And then when we get there, I never say, but why'd you pick this? I just go along with it, as long as it's not near those three places I mentioned. But he's never done that.
Yeah. Oh, okay. How about you, Karabo? Charlie, fussy?
Yeah, no.
Do you like it noise? Some people want a quiet spot.
Yeah.
I like a quiet spot. Other people want to be in the buzz. And, people around them are talking quite loud. You and your table become a bit more animated, a little bit more shouty. Some people like that.
Yeah, definitely not anywhere near the kitchen. But definitely the Tony Soprano view. I like to see the space because I like to comment about people. Hey, did you see that one? Yeah. People watch, and me and my missus always comment and gossip about what we're looking at. Funny enough, yesterday we went out for dinner at the Monte Casino, and they had the big screen TV. There was a game playing, Man City and was it Man City and Liverpool? And then my missus was like, she decided to sit there. I was like, no, don't sit there. I'm sitting there. She's
so
like,
you
why?
Can watch the TV.
So I can watch the TV. So I want that view of the TV. Every time when you go out, usually I try to make it when there's a good game happening so that I can watch some good football. So yeah, I don't do the kitchen. I love the Tony Soprano view, and I want to see the TV. Yeah, definitely.
It's quite interesting you mentioned the TV because I took my two grandsons, my wife and I, out in Cape Town, and eventually I asked them to move us so that we couldn't see a TV because there was no conversation. They just kept looking and seeing. One of them was there were quite a few TVs, so we had to move a great deal. Somebody, by the way, points out that I said today is Friday the 6th of February. It's not. I'm sure you know that. My mistake. Monday the 9th of February and Monday the 9th of February, just like Friday the 6th of February, Karabo Chale has traffic. How's it looking?
Well, at this stage, John, in the Boksburg area, we already have bumper-to-bumper traffic on the N17 eastbound between Osborne and Rangeview Road. In Benoni, there's an accident seen on the N12 eastbound. This is after Tom Jones slowing down traffic, while in Midrand, traffic is gridlocked heading towards Centurion. N1 northbound from Allendale all the way to Olifantsfontein Road. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Okay, so 702 Drive. Coming up on the show, we are going to be taking a look at quite a couple of really interesting stories. I've highlighted a few of those for you. The cricket, as I said, Stuart Hess joining us to talk about South Africa taking on Canada in our opening game of the World T20 competition. Then we're going to have as we always do at 10 to 5, the brain of 702. That's a whole new round for a whole week. The brain of 702 coming up at 10 minutes to 5. And I mentioned that thing about datas and the extent to which they are consuming huge amounts of energy. 011-883-0702 and 072-702-1702. It's 18 minutes past 3.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Let's catch up now with what's been happening at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. The Ekurhuleni Metro very much back in the spotlight. Now, you may recall EMPD's head of police, Brigadier Julius Mkhwanazi, was extensively quizzed. One of the people who worked with him, Colonel Henny Erasmus, also gave evidence, and this was in regard to blue lights and a partnership that never in the end materialized with Vusimuzi Kat Matlala. But that was back in the spotlight today, and there answering questions was the suspended head of legal at Ekurhuleni Metro, Kemraj Bihari. Keeping an eye on things for us, Thabiso Goba, EWN reporter. Thabiso, a very good afternoon to you. What exactly was Mr. Bihari being asked to account for? What exact role did he play in what appears to have been a deal that never went through, but a deal that appeared to be breaking rules quite repeatedly?
Good afternoon, John. So there were allegations, as you said, against Mr. Kemi Bihari, the head of legal. He was suspended last year in December. And one of the two main allegations against him was that he was part of this group of senior police officials that protected and shielded Mr. Julius Mkhwanazi when he got into trouble for fitting blue lights into the private cars of Vusimuzi Kat Matlala. And then there was a fraudulent MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, that Mr. Julius Mkhwanazi allegedly came up with to have those cars that he fitted with blue lights to be donated to the Ekurhuleni municipality, and in a sense sort of give credence to why he fitted blue lights to the cars of a private citizen. So in 2020, in February 2020, there was a report by the police watchdog IPID, and that after that police report, which found against Mr. Julius Mkhwanazi, finding that there was wrongdoing on his part, he was suspended. Now there was a Mr. Erasmus, Colonel Henny Erasmus. He works for the Ekurhuleni municipality's integrity unit,
right? And
he was the one who was spearheading the investigation into Mr. Mkhwanazi. So, Mr. Mkhwanazi, there are obviously rules, in government that a senior official can only be suspended for a amount of time. And in the Ekurhuleni municipality, you can only suspend someone for 3 months. And after 3 months, it's either you charge them with a disciplinary action or you fire them. And when that 3-month period was supposed to lapse, that's where Mr. Kemi Bihari, who's testifying today, that's when he comes into the picture. Because Mr. Henny Erasmus, he goes to him as the head of legal and says, listen, I'm still completing my investigation. I need a bit of legal support to extend the suspension of Mr. Mkhwanazi. He can't come back to work because there is obviously a chance and a danger that if he comes back to work, obviously he might interfere with some of the witnesses. And this is an ongoing investigation. We need him to be out of the premises as this investigation carries on. However, the issue is that Mr. Bihari then looks at the investigation from Mr. Erasmus and he says that there are still a number of things outstanding from your investigation, and he calls them evidentiary gaps. And I do have to say at this point, John, that these evidentiary gaps were not sort of recognized by the Matlanga Commission in case if the evidence leader and the commissioner saying that these evidentiary gaps that you found in Erasmus's investigations, they do not hold up. And one of these gaps that he found is that part of the investigation, they wanted a statement from a Mr. Jeff Wicks. Jeff Wicks is the News 24 investigative journalist.
Yes.
He's the one who brought this matter into light. And there was a question there with Mr. Matlanga saying that, why would you want a statement from a journalist? Because for everything, people believe about us, John, unfortunately, journalists, we do not invent things. We only bring to light things that already existed. And that's what Mr. Matlanga, the chairperson, said, that these issues that Mr. Jeff Wicks brought to light, these are things that already existed. You could have done an internal investigation within SAPS. You didn't need, within the Ekurhuleni municipality, you didn't need a statement from a journalist. So for you to not support an extension of Mr. Mkhwanazi's suspension because you want a statement from a journalist, it doesn't stand up to master. And that has been sort of the back and forth between Mr. Bihari and the evidence leader and the commissioners in terms of why did he not support the extension of Mr. Mkhwanazi's suspension, but also why did he not advise Mr. Erasmus to say that even though I'm not supporting your extension of suspension, go and find these gaps, and then when you come back, we can resuspend Mr. Mkhwanazi. But what actually happened, John, is that after Mr. Mkhwanazi's suspension expired in 2023, this matter was never brought up again until this commission.
It really is quite extraordinary. I mean, what you've just finished off by saying, Tabiso, and thank you, that the things that go on, and then unless the media stirs it up, or in this particular instance, the Police Commissioner of KwaZulu-Natal, Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, opens up a real hornet's nest, they just leave them and don't do anything. It's quite astonishing. Some other news, by the way, in regard to hearings. Paul O'Sullivan will testify at the South African at the ad hoc committee in Parliament that's looking at criminality, corruption and political interference in the criminal justice system. He had said before that he wouldn't appear in person. That seems to have changed, and he's going to be there. And he's going to be there tomorrow. I don't know who's going to get the TV channel space. I think my money's actually on the Parliamentary hearing, but it's competitive, isn't it? Now, I asked you about where you sit in restaurants. Really interesting. Joni says, I like to see the entrance. A lot of people like to see the entrance. I like sitting near the door. And the fan, Jen, says, I like to sit at home. At home, Drew says, back to the wall, away from windows. All exits in view. Bongani says, where I will see the door and everyone coming in, just in case. It's amazing how many people to do that. This one, yes, as far away from the kitchen and the restrooms as possible, says Lynn. So keep those coming, please. Very simple question. I asked you, Fundiswa, outside seating at all costs, unless in winter, if they don't have gas heaters. 3:26.
Drive home with John Perlman
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
T20 Cricket World Cup underway already. South Africa get underway in 4 minutes' time, so I better not keep my guest too long because I'm sure he'd like to keep at least half an eye on the first ball. South Africa up against Canada in their opening game. All expectations, obviously, are that we'll win that one. We do have some tricky games in our group, though, perhaps slightly more than some of the other groups. We play against Afghanistan, who've already shown what they can do in limited overs cricket, and perhaps the biggest threat, New Zealand, who have already won their first game against Afghanistan. But what are our prospects like? We've certainly had a few seasons now of SA20 to polish and fine-tune and tweak and get even more tactically astute. Cricket writer Stuart Hess joins us on the line for his thoughts. Stuart, a very good afternoon to you. How do you look at South Africa going in? Certainly not favourites, but contenders at least?
Yeah, good afternoon, John. Yeah, definitely contenders. I think they're in a group along with England, Australia, Pakistan, West Indies, as strong contenders for this tournament. They should be looking at the semi-finals. India, massive favourites, playing at home. A lot of talk about that being one of the best assembled T20 sides of all time. So, as the home side, it's India, and then there's this band of teams that are very strong contenders. But one of the things we've seen in the opening weekend is how well the associate nations have gone. And, South Africa will need to tread carefully when they go against Canada. They should win. They're big favourites to win this game. But they would have taken note of how the likes of Nepal, the Netherlands and the USA performed in the weekend. And there shouldn't be any complacency today.
I mean, the South African team went through some changes because there were injuries, there were people showing form in SA20, and there were questions asked, for example, Ryan Rickleton not getting a place initially. What are your thoughts about the final squad that got sent?
I think it's a balanced squad. My biggest concern is the lack of a wrist spinner. But when you look around the country and you looked at SA20 and you even looked at the domestic T20 challenge, there wasn't really anyone that put their hands up. South Africa have been trying Ngaba Peter from Gauteng, the leg spinner, but he's someone that he needs more time playing. He needs to actually go back to 4-day cricket and bowl as many overs as possible to help develop his wrist spin. And then, Shukri Conrad has come in as the white ball coach in May last year, and he's never really been a big fan of Debrey Shamsi. So there's no wrist spinner. That concerns me. But otherwise, I think it's a very powerful batting unit. Even the guys who aren't necessarily frontline batters, if you think about someone like a Marco Jansen or a Corbin Bosch, these guys can hit the ball a long way. So in terms of batting, I think South Africa are well served. Fast bowling, they're definitely well served. There's a lot of fast bowling options. My big concern is the lack of variety as far as the spinning is concerned, and that may not be a factor in the group stage, but it may become a bigger factor later in the tournament as the pitches sort of get a little bit worn.
There's something about T20. I mean, it's obviously not lottery because that would disrespect the huge skills and preparation that goes into it. But it does suggest to me, at least, that if you have one bad game or even, one spell of 5 bad overs as, compared to, say, a 50-over game, that could be it right there.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, the way that T20 cricket has gone in the last, I would say, 2 to 3 years, it's become a batting-dominant game. And Aiden Markram was making this point at the start of the tournament. You sometimes, as a bowler, he said, I feel really sorry for bowlers in this format. But one of the things he made mention of, you talk about a bad 5 overs, he was saying that sometimes you can have a bad 3 balls, and that can change the game for you. And what he was saying is that the way the South Africans work it out is they go, look, we work in sort of groups of balls. So they don't even work in an over. They will say, if you can put 3 good balls together here, 4 good balls together there, we can apply a little bit of pressure. The way that batters are in this sort of, well, I hesitate to use the term, but let's go with the modern version of T20 cricket, if you like. And so, it's so, they've broken it down so small, and it's interesting. I'm fascinated to see how the South Africans go about this over the next few weeks.
Yeah, thank you very much. Well, just an update. Thank you to Stuart. Canada won the toss. They've chosen to field, play underway in a few moments' time. It's 3:30.
Clement Manyat.
Okay, at 3:30, let's get the very latest Eyewitness news. Here is Puleng Make.
Thanks, John. Good afternoon. National Assembly Speaker Toko Didiza says that she's pleased the ad hoc committee investigating allegations on police corruption has managed to convince forensic investigator Paul O'Sullivan to give evidence in person. O'Sullivan had earlier refused to appear physically and wanted virtual appearance because of security concerns. The committee then tried to get Didiza to issue a warrant to force O'Sullivan as well as alleged ANC fixer Brown Mokhotsi to appear. But she declined the request and said the committee should continue engaging with the witnesses. Parliament spokesperson Moloto Mothapo says Didiza is happy the committee has managed to get through to O'Sullivan, who has now agreed agreed to appear in person tomorrow and on Wednesday.
The Speaker of the National Assembly welcomes the ad hoc committee's decision to continue engaging Mr. Brown Mokhotsi and Mr. Paul O'Sullivan. The Speaker is pleased that this approach has resulted in one of these witnesses availing himself to appear physically before the ad hoc committee to testify from Tuesday without the need for summonses to be issued.
Eskom has revealed that illegal electricity connections in Gauteng have cost it a hefty 7.7 million rand in debt. Today, the power utility has targeted its super electricity users in a transgression of the law. It's disconnected Puara to 3 farms in Randfontein for several contraventions, including illegal connections and tampering with meters. 2 of the farms that produce cannabis are owned by one person who owes Eskom 2.3 million rand. The owner has been arrested for reconnecting power that was previously disconnected. Gauteng Eskom spokesperson Amanda Qit.
When you've been issued a bill, you are given a specific date that you need to pay by. If you do not pay, then we start engaging you to say that you need to honor your payments, and if you do not, we will then disconnect you. So in this particular case, we had those engagements in terms of we've issued a bill, you have not been paying. However, the customer was then not paying.
Disruptions to teaching and learning have occurred at 2 Cape Town universities. Earlier reports indicated that classrooms at University of the Western Cape were disrupted and internal roadblocks were in effect. Spokesperson Gasant Abada has described the disruptions as minimal.
Around 60 students have caused classroom disruptions and earlier disrupted traffic on campus. The SRC are meeting with the university management to engage on reasons for the disruptions and to find solutions.
And a charity organization is among those calling on government to take steps to protect people from powerful dog breeds. This follows the death of Mitchell's Plain woman who was fatally attacked by her 2 pit bulls last month. Faisela Swart succumbed to her injuries in hospital on Tuesday. The Sizwe Kupelo Foundation's Sizwe Kupelo.
This is an unfortunate death. It's been a long time since they promised to do something about the breed in the country. We last met them in February 2023. So almost 3 years have passed and government has not come up with a solution.
And look at your weather. A fine Monday in Gauteng. Temperatures have peaked at highs of between 27 and 32 degrees.
Bumper-to-bumper traffic in Boksburg on the N17 eastbound. That's between Osborne and Rangeview Road. In Benoni, also accident scene N12 eastbound after Tom Jones slowing down traffic.
The top story in Eyewitness News. National Assembly Speaker Toko Didiza says she's pleased the ad hoc committee investigating allegations of police corruption has managed to convince forensic investigator Paul O'Sullivan to give evidence in person.
Clement Maniatella.
Weekday mornings,
9 to 12.
9 to 12.
Are you able to confirm, Spiwe, if the SANDF has promoted solely Lichwenyo to general and commanding officer at the SANDF Special Forces?
Well, I'll have to refer back to the bulletin that has all the names and refer that, because that is the official document that I must refer to if somebody has been promoted.
But what you are aware of is that this same gentleman is soon to stand trial for murder.
I am aware, sir.
Okay. Spiwe Dlamini, SANDF spokesperson, thank you very much. I really appreciate your time.
Clement Maniatella.
9 to 12 on 702.
Switching was so quick and easy. I'm happy with the premium that I'm paying now.
Outsurance business insurance clients know that it pays to switch. And did you know you could get a guaranteed premium for 12 months even if you claim? For electrical, tradesman services and all other businesses. Get a quote today and see why it pays to switch to Outsurance Business Insurance. Visit outsurance.co.za or call 08600 60,000 today. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
Get the advantage this tax year end with Sage. No stress, no scrambling. Just seamless HR and payroll that keeps you ahead of UIF, PAYE and employment equity. All in one smart cloud solution. with automated compliance, real-time accuracy, and simplified HR and payroll. Give your business the tax year end advantage. That's Sage. Visit tax.sage.co.za today.
Managing your workforce shouldn't be complicated. That's why businesses choose Onacy, a proudly South African cloud-based payroll and HR solution. From payroll and e-recruitment to performance management and self-service tools, we streamline the way businesses handle their people. Scalable, secure, and always online, our system evolves with your needs because your workforce deserves the best. Switch to Onacy and experience payroll and HR done right. Visit onacy.com today.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Hello, John. I think it's a thing nowadays that people, restaurants tend to get very noisy because they want the open kitchen and the coffee station, all of that. I avoid all Tasha's restaurants because it is just too noisy. Louis from Pretoria.
John and the team, this is Dalom. Today coming live to you from Ekurhuleni, Pinodi. John, I'm happy that the law enforcement agencies, especially the traffic officers, are busy checking the scholar transport. But now, there's this big accident on the N12 East just after Tom Jones in Moore Hill, Benoni. It's a panel van of these guys who are operating sponsor shops. I would like or urge the traffic officers to also check these panel vans. Either they are overloaded or the car is like, it was brought from dead. It was taken from the grave. If you can see the structure of that car, it's pieces. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for those. We asked the question, where do you like to sit in restaurants? And it was prompted, by the way, if you weren't with us at the start of the show, by an experience I had in Wellington. I was trying to watch a football match in the afternoon, so I got a table right near the kitchen, which is where they happen to have a big screen TV, and I was absolutely fascinated watching the chefs and everybody else deal with a sudden and unexpected order of what looked to me like about 35 to 40 pizzas. Anyway, it made me wonder. I was absolutely happy sitting there, and I think I would be happy to sit there again. I can't say every instance, though. I want to be near the hustle and bustles, but I do quite like watching the kitchen. However, you've all got different views. A remarkable number of you want to be backs to the wall watching the entrance. Serious question, is this like a reflection of how people feel about security in our country? Because there have, been incidents at restaurants. Jenny says, back to a wall, not comfortable in the middle of a room or near the kitchen or the loos. I've been known to change my table a couple of times if it's not suitable. Even if you request a quiet, cozy corner when booking, invariably I end up in the middle somewhere. Most uncomfortable. 702 Drive. Let's get the very latest sports news now. It's 20 to 4.
EWN Sport.
Canada won the toss. We have to bat. Tolakele has the details. The match just underway. Good afternoon.
Afternoon, John. And we start in a meta bad where South Africa are currently 15 without any loss. That's in the second over of their T20 World Cup clash against Canada. At the creases, Aiden Markram on 9 alongside Quinton de Kock on 4. For Zimbabwe, they opened their campaign with a comfortable 8-wicket win over Oman, thanks to an unbeaten 48 from Brian Bennett. Oman had struggled with the pace and bounce of Zimbabwe's attack as they managed just 103. Switching over to the CAF Champions League, where Miguel Cardoso has lauded Mamelodi Sundowns for claiming a point against St. Aloy Lupopo in a result that keeps alive their knockout hopes. Next up for the Brazilians is a defining Group C encounter against Rolani Mokoena MC Alger, a game they must win to progress.
It's not easy to play here. It's very difficult, and what we have to do now is go to the last match, a match that we would always play to win, because who plays to lose or to draw, who plays to draw usually loses. We had to play to win, and that's what we're going to do, is go on the next match and play to win and win the match and go through in the competition.
Manchester City kept alive their Premier League title hopes with the 2-1 win over Liverpool, which is only their third at Anfield in the league since 1981. Pep Guardiola's sides are now only 6 points adrift of leaders Arsenal with 13 games to play, and that includes a game against the Gunners in April.
Of course, 6 points is still better than 9, but it still is a lot, considering Arsenal, how strong they are in all departments. But it's better to have, I said the same, 13 games is a lot in the Premier League. FA Cup is coming, the final the Carabao Cup, the Champions League is here. So many games, injuries and many things. So every team play for something, for Champions League qualification, Europa League conference, not being relegated. Every game, the last 10 games from my experience is not a drama, but it's so difficult.
And Ryan Oosthuizen was named player of the final after South Africa won the Perth Sevens following a 21-19 victory over Fiji. That win moves the Blitzboks up to second in the overall standings with 66 points as they bounce back from their fourth place finish in Singapore.
We worked so hard for, 14 minutes. Yeah, this is credit to the system and all the work we've put in off-season. We worked really hard on our system to be honest with each other. Like I mentioned previous in this week, we had honest conversations with one another, and we weren't happy with Singapore last week. And I'm pretty sure we're all happy after this week. We executed, we fought for one another. And I think that's a Blitzboks standard that we set for one another.
Tolagile Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
Problems out in Boksburg. Let's get the very latest from Karabo Chale.
Well, at this stage, bumper-to-bumper traffic, that's in the Boksburg area heading towards Brakpan N17 eastbound between Osborne and Rangeview Road. That earlier accident that we had in the Benoni area has been cleared. That's on the N12 eastbound. After Tom Jones, the traffic should be back to normal shortly. However, in the Santon area, we still have bumper-to-bumper traffic. This is on Greyston Drive between Rivonia Road and Catherine. In Midrand, traffic is pretty much gridlocked. This is on the N1 northbound from Allendale all the way to Olifantsfontein Road. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
You're now listening to 702 Afternoon Drive with John Perlman. Brought to you by Telkom Business. Possible begins here.
You're with John Perlman
on 702.
702 Drive, 16 minutes to 4. Tolakele, if I agree to meet you in a restaurant and you say to me, won't you get a good table, where would that table be?
Outside.
Okay. Any weather?
No matter what the weather outside, because it's also easier to scope out the scenery and be comfortable, because inside, between the banging of whatever's happening in the kitchen, whatever's happening at the bar, and the people constantly moving in and out, I get irritated very quickly. So I prefer outside because there's less foot traffic, and when it's hot, the pictures are nicer.
Do you like to be able to see at least some of the kitchen? I mean, even if you maybe going to the restroom or whatever, do you want to see what's going on? It doesn't interest you at all?
Absolutely not, because once I see one health code violation, I'm going to start complaining, and I'd rather not.
You won't ever see one. Let me ask you this. Do you like to be near other people and there's a bit of a buzz and if you're with a group of friends, I guess it might be different. You're having a catch up with somebody and maybe there's stuff you need to really focus on, maybe not. But in general, do you like it a little bit noisy?
I prefer to be in the corner because
everyone wants the corner.
Let me tell you, John, my friends are people that can get us into trouble. So it's better for us to be in the corner and nobody can overhear our conversation. And that way, everybody's dignity is intact when we leave the restaurant.
So you like the eye corner?
Yes.
Oh, my goodness. Okay. Everyone wants the corner. Everyone wants back to the wall. Nobody wants to be near the door. Nobody wants to be near the bathrooms, if possible. Kabazela was saying, I think it was Kabazela, or maybe it was you, Karabo, doesn't want to be anywhere near where they are ringing up the bills and there's a whole crowd of people around. I had that this morning, actually, at the airport. But anyway, I was just there for a short time. But yeah, I'm very interested to know, if you run a restaurant, how do you allocate tables? First come, first served? Do you... Obviously, there are clients that are regulars. There'll be people who've asked for particular tables. But when you've got a whole lot, Do you know these are good tables? These are less good tables? Give us a call on that on 011 883 0702. I suspect you come under a fair pressure, perhaps more than you would want. 702 Drive, 13 minutes to 4.
Drive home with John Perlman
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
Now, last week, you may recall, and if you missed it, I really recommend that you have a listen. I'll get you the exact reference, but we were chatting to the University of Free State about how AI is affecting academic performance and academic work, and it was a fascinating discussion, actually, as to how easy access to answers generated by AI can affect academic performance. So there's all that. Park that to one side. What about this? Now, there are about 12,000 huge data centers scattered around the world. How do I know this? Well, you'll find out in a moment because I'm reading from an article written by my next guests. They are data centers that will be, as he puts it, the engine rooms of the global IT revolution. Already, they consume around 1.5% of the globe's electricity, which is already a staggering amount. And there can, with the growth of AI and other big data enterprises, this can only get bigger and the consumption of electricity larger. So are we going to have places like that set up in South Africa? I think anyone who is talking about these as some kind of driver of growth will say, yes, please, but the electricity implications are considerable. Tony Carney has written about this for Daily Maverick, and he joins us now. Tony, a very good afternoon to you. Why do these centers consume so much electricity? Is it purely their scale, or is there something going on in the work that's being done that is incredibly electricity intensive? Good afternoon to you.
Oh, hi, John. Yeah, data centers, there's huge electrical pulses going through the servers and the computer chips, and more so with artificial intelligence. So what happens is they require an awful lot of electricity, especially the larger hyperscale ones. And it's not just and that has knock-on effects for water as well, because they're so hot they have to be cooled. But from an electricity perspective, I think some surprising issues are, if you look at Ireland, 21% of all their national electricity goes on data centers.
Goodness.
The US state of Virginia, it's 25%. Singapore is 7%. Okay, South Africa's not there, but as we're reporting tomorrow, there's some major expansion planned in both Johannesburg and Cape Town over the next few years, and that's going to, if you add it all up, the planned expansion of data centers is very close to 1,000 megawatts, which is the equivalent of one stage of Eskom load shedding. So it's quite a significant amount.
So what does South Africa do? I mean, obviously, when there's the possibility of investment, job creation, revenue generated by taxes, we leap at it. I mean, do the numbers say to you it's absolutely not worth it? Or do the numbers say to you, we need to do this, but if we shouldn't do it until we've planned?
I think planning is the issue. You don't jump into it without looking at the consequences, both from electricity and water, because as I said earlier, there's a lot of heat generated in these data centers, so they have to be cooled down, and that requires a considerable volume of water. But also, there's indirect water use from the generation of electricity. The steam that's used to turn turbines comes in a coal-fired power station, requires large amounts of water as well.
Right.
So that's the issue. Is that both Ireland and Singapore sort of jumped on this train, and they very soon had to declare a moratorium on expansion while they reconsidered the planning issues on whether they were prepared for it.
In terms of conversations around this, obviously you've got the ball rolling and you've got us talking about this. Do you have a sense that this is out there and being considered and discussed? Because my sense is often, as in South Africa, we're playing catch up and saying, okay. However, we need to, take a closer look at that. But by then, I wouldn't say necessarily the train has left the station and, has disappeared, but it's pretty much gone quite far.
Yeah, I think probably the concerning issue is that there's a degree of secretiveness from both a national government and from Eskom. It may well be that things are in under control and planned and what have you, but then they're not. Eskom hasn't provided any statistics on the current electricity use and what the plans. The planned consumption will be. So if it perhaps it's within what's being planned in South Africa is manageable, but there's very little transparency about what's happening.
I'm just wondering, some things start off as cumbersome and bulky and expensive, and smart people put their minds to it and find ways of doing it differently. Is that a realistic expectation, or hopelessly over-optimistic in regard to these massive data centers? I mean, to a degree, do we maybe, like with smelters, have to say they are what they are?
Well, I think with water, there are ways of using it, a smarter way of cooling, rather than using large volumes of water for evaporative cooling. There are some closed loop systems that will reduce that, but it doesn't take away the fact that a lot of water is still used indirectly in the electricity production process. And with smelters, there's a lot of, some of them have closed, and with the additional load of data centers, there's some serious questions that have to be asked about whether to just keep on expanding, or to say, hang on, let's slow down and look at this more carefully.
And any sense of where this fits in with South Africa's investment plans? I mean, we have major players in data here, but if we were to get these big centers, invariably would they be foreign investment? And if indeed we've got either some qualms or some significant gaps in our ability to provide the requisite energy and resources to run them, might that be, an X in a box and they'll say, we'll go somewhere else?
Well, I think the reality is South Africa is strategically located with very good infrastructure, and so it's almost a gateway to the rest of the continent. There has been a lot of expansion of data centers in Nigeria and Kenya, so that's at the west and east. But from the southern and central Africa, I think South Africa is seen as the ideal sort of gateway for the location of data centers. But it also raises questions about there's also the number of submarine cable landings off Durban and Cape Town. So that's another strategic factor for locating them here, because that's already in place. But it kind of drives you asked the question about who's responsible. Well, yes, it is the big operators, Amazon, Microsoft, and particularly Amazon hasn't been very transparent about the volumes of power it's using. And Microsoft announced quite a large investment last year, and that's believed to be one of the factors for that new expansion that's about to take place.
Thank you very much, Tony Carney, Daily Maverick, environmental journalist. Some very, very interesting questions there. I mean, I don't think that this is being set out, and you can read Tony's piece for yourself as saying well, because of the high energy costs, we can't do it. I think it's suggesting that this would be a set of choices to weigh up against all our other needs. And the questions that arise then is this an industry that will create jobs? Is this a sector that will bring in investment and with the tax revenue? And if not, then maybe we have to use the electricity for other things. The answer, of course, would be to actually do this on scale and grow the electricity capacity to meet it. But give us your views. Maybe it's a subject you've looked into. 3 minutes now to 4.
Africa Milani.
Weekday mornings,
4 to 6.
One of the things that the MEC acknowledged yesterday is that there are still, 1,009 applications that are awaiting finalization.
That's quite correct. It's not quite a backlog, Africa. We've since approved about 516 already. So 516 of the operating licenses are out there in the possession of operators.
Lesiba Mpia, spokesperson for MEC Kidibone Dialetabela, the MEC for Gauteng in transportation.
Africa Milani.
4 to 6 on 702.
Stop and think. Will you survive the AI revolution or thrive? Regenesis students are thriving. 11 cutting-edge schools, 111 countries. World-class team of 1,111 with one mission, awakening your potential. Choose from law, business, technology, AI, health, economics, entrepreneurship, public management, skills academy, and digital Regenesis. Undergraduate, postgraduate, upskilling, customized corporate programs. The question isn't, can you afford to enroll? It's, can you afford not to? Enroll now. Regenesis.net. Achieve your dreams.
Zandi Finga's Hive promo agency was growing fast, but the paperwork was catching up. What were you up against?
Challenges that were slowing down my growth was finding clients as well as organizing the promoter application.
But with Yep for online visibility and Zoho to manage her database, she has turned chaos into a well-honeyed hive.
Get Yep by Telkom Business from 249 Rand per month and Zoho from only 1,260 Rand annually. Call 10213 or click telkom.co.za. T's and C's apply. Telkom Business. Possible begins here.
The stage, the lights, the crowd, everything's perfect until suddenly someone slips on the dance floor. A speaker lands in the buffet. In an instant, your masterpiece is a mess. That's why Auto & General is there with Events Liability Insurance. We handle the unexpected so you don't have to. Plan the party, wow the guests, leave the rest to us. For more information on Events Liability Insurance, visit autogen.co.za. Auto & General, never not there. Auto & General is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's and C's online.
Driving the conversation on 702 Afternoon Drive with John Perlman. Powered by Telkom Business. Possible begins here.
702 Drive. So our bid to win the ICC T20 World Cup is underway. It's 6 overs old and South Africa have made 66 runs. Going at 11 and over, Quinton de Kock and Aiden Markram going out to bat after Canada won the toss and sent us in. Aiden Markram in particular is going really, really well indeed. 35 off 18, Quinton de Kock 22 off 18. Long, long way to go. But anyway, we're off to a decent start. So, more updates on the cricket a little bit later with Tolakele Mgange. If I see anything you need to know, I'll let you know as well. But what you need to know right now is what's making news.
This is EWN.
Dashe cautions Africa on critical minerals at mining in Daba, and Bihari testifies on alleged shielding of corrupt officers. Good afternoon, I'm Puleng Make. Mineral and Petroleum Resources Minister Kweteman Dashe has warned African countries of a race to the bottom, warning an increased demand for critical minerals could see the continent shortchanged for its abundant resources. Madashe was addressing delegates at the mining indaba in Cape Town today. The annual gathering of miners, government and financiers will run for 4 days, where the state mining challenges and investment opportunities will take center stage. Nokukhanya Mtambo is there with the latest.
According to the Africa Finance Corporation, Africa hosts close to $39 trillion in on-site mineral value, the equivalent of more than 20% of global mineral wealth. But the continent captures only a fraction of the economic value. To address the issue of Africa failing to capture the far larger value created when minerals are created into steel, aluminium and batteries across the globe, Mineral and Petroleum Resources Minister Gwede Mantashe says the continent's leaders must sing from the same hymn book.
This continent owes it to itself to unite, work together, talk to the outside world as one.
This year's edition of the Mining Indaba comes at a time of heightened geopolitical tensions, driven largely by the competition of some developed economies seeking greater control over the natural resources of developing nations. Mandashe says better collaboration between African countries can help avoid the destructive race to the bottom in the continent's engagement with global powers and investors. Nokukhanya Mtambo, Eyewitness News in Cape Town.
Ekurhuleni municipality's suspended head of legal, Kemraj Bihari, has been grilled over his choice to not support the decision to extend the suspension of a corruption-accused senior Metro officer. Bihari has been testifying before the Madlanga Commission on allegations he shielded corrupt senior police officers from accountability. In February 2023, Deputy Chief of IPID, Julius Mkhwanazi, was suspended for allegedly fitting blue lights into vehicles belonging to crime boss Vusmuzi Ketmatlala. Tabiso Goba reports.
Colonel Hene Erasmus, who works in the Ekurhuleni Metro Police Department's Integrity and Standards units, headed up the blue lights investigation against the EMPD's Deputy Chief, Julius Mkhwanazi. In May 2023, Erasmus approached the municipality's head of legal, Kemraj Bihari, and asked him to draft a legal notice that would provide a basis to extend Mkhwanazi's suspension as it was expiring. In a statement to the Madlanga Commission, Bihari says there were significant evidentiary gaps in Erasmus's investigation and he could not draft a letter until they were addressed.
When he came to me, it was about supporting the extension of a suspension. We had an engagement. I said to him, these are what I think are problematic. These are things we have to close, and these are the witnesses we have to deal with. It didn't finalize. I said, can I speak to the Chief of Police? And then the next meeting was the Chief of Police called me. But that was by the time the suspension had lapsed.
Effectively, you let the suspension expire.
Bihari says in hindsight, he should have supported the extension of Mkhwanazi's suspension. Tabiso Goba, Eyewitness News.
The Mpendle local municipality in KwaZulu-Natal Midlands is once again in limbo despite the election of a new mayor and other office bearers in last week. This follows the ANC's move to suspend 4 of its councillors. The party's provincial task team says the councillors acted against the mandate of the party in the Mpendle caucus. Nhlanhla Mabaso reports from KZN.
Following months of instability at the Mpendle local municipality with no stable elected leadership, non-payment of salaries and financial constraints denting its poor image, the municipality is again in disarray. Cooperative Governance MEC Thulasizwe Buthelezi gave the council an instruction to re-elect a mayor and fill a few other council positions.
We have made very firm resolutions which must be followed up within 7 days, which we feel will bring stability to this municipality. As we know, there has been no mayor here since July 2025, and that is one of the major reasons why there is instability.
On Friday, the council elected new leadership, and this was welcomed by the Provincial Cooperative Governance Department. However, yesterday the ANC announced that it's recalled its councillors, including those elected to top posts. Nhlanhla Mabaso, Eyewitness News.
Eskom has revealed that illegal electricity connections in Gauteng have cost it a hefty 7.7 million rand in debt. Today, the power utility has targeted its super electricity users in transgression of the law. It's disconnected 3 farms in Randfontein for several contraventions, including illegal connection and tampering with meters. 2 of the farms that produce cannabis are owned by one person who owes Eskom 2.3 million rand. The owner has been arrested for reconnecting power that was previously disconnected. Gauteng Eskom spokesperson Amanda Qiti.
When you've been issued a bill, you are given a specific date that you need to pay by. If you do not pay, then we start engaging you to say that you need to honor your payments. And if you do not, we will then disconnect you. So in this particular case, we had those engagements in terms of we've issued a bill, you have not been paying. However, the customer was then not paying.
Disruptions to teaching and learning have occurred at two Cape Town universities. Earlier reports indicate that classrooms at the University of the Western Cape were disrupted and internal roadblocks were in effect. Spokesperson Ghassan Abeder says that the disruptions are minimal.
Around 60 students have caused classroom disruptions and earlier disrupted traffic on campus. The SRC are meeting with the university management to engage on reasons for the disruptions and to find solutions.
Gold is trading at $5,000.59 an ounce. The rand is at 16.04 to the dollar, at 21.86 to the pound, at 19.04 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $68.05 a barrel.
Well, at this stage in Midrand, you can expect about a 20-minute delay. N1 northbound from the Bethlehem interchange to Olifantsfontein Road, leaving Sandton, heading towards the M1. Traffic sluggish on Greyston Drive between Rivonia Road and Catherine, and in the Joburg CBD, there's slow-moving traffic on the M1 southbound from Killarney Bains to the Crown interchange.
In your sport, the Proteas out to make a ruthless statement against Canada in their opening game of the T20 World Cup. Miguel Cardoso backs Mamelodi Sundowns to find a way to win in their final CAF Champions League group game. And the Blitzboks strike gold in Perth.
A look at your weather. A partly cloudy Tuesday in store for Gauteng tomorrow. Johannesburg drops to overnight lows of 15, peaking at 29 degrees. Pretoria 13 and 32. Vereeniging drops to overnight lows of 16, peaking at highs of 31 degrees. Cape Town is also partly cloudy, along with fresh southeasterly winds at a higher 21, peaking at 27 degrees. The top story in Eyewitness News this hour: Mineral and Petroleum Resources Minister Gwede Mantashe has warned African countries of race to the bottom, warning an increased demand for critical minerals could see the continent shortchanged for its abundant resources.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
702.
Drive home with John Perlman.
John Perlman, 3 to 6 p.m.
On 92.7 and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive, it's 9 minutes past 4. Good to have you with us. Thanks so much for joining us on the show on this Monday. Coming up over the next half an hour, there is, perhaps you may have read about it or heard about it, a dispute going on between two of the city of Johannesburg's most prominent schools. On the one side, King David, which has spoken out against what they say has been an anti-Semitic response by Roedean when Roedean cancelled a tennis match that was meant to take place between their two schools. We've reached out to both of those schools. So far, King David High School has responded in the positive, and Principal Lorraine Strager will be joining us shortly to give us her perspective on this thing. We'll keep trying to get Roedean to come on and speak about the way that they see it. Brain of 702, we start a new week. We produced one Brain of the Week last week. We've got to produce another Brain of the Week this week. We've got to get ourselves 4 brains. So we got a full set of finalists for the end of February. And by the way, if you haven't entered, please, do go to primemediaplus.com. You'll find out there how you can enter. But in the meanwhile, listen in, and as you drive along, I'm sure you will be answering the questions as we go. After 5, you may recall some time back, I think it might even have been last year, but it's been an ongoing debate. Lots of conversation about the way KZN police have dealt with using lethal force with people they say are known criminals, armed and dangerous. I know we had some very lively debates here, but IPID has been investigating one of these shootings, and the conclusions they've come out with are certainly raising quite a few questions. That'll be in the spotlight with us right here on 702 Drive. That's coming up after 5 o'clock. We asked you where it is that you prefer to sit in restaurants. All the seats are in the corners with your back to the wall and away from the kitchen and away from the front entrance, I'm afraid, are taken. But you may as well have a try.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Hello, John. Just getting into your subject about where you like to sit in a restaurant. I'm renowned for being very fussy about where I sit. Noise is not my thing, and I also don't like the restroom. But one of the owners of a restaurant that I know quite well calls it musical chairs. And I think it's very prevalent amongst people a little bit older.
Hi, John. I prefer back to the wall, line of sight to the entrance and the exit. I also prefer to have a line of sight to the parking lot if possible. Second option, a wall to either left or right, but not in the middle of the restaurant. You feel like you're in an island? Nah. You feel like all eyes on you. You can't even chew properly. You can't eat properly.
It's amazing how many people want to be able to check out the door. They want to know where the nearest exit is. I must admit, I don't ever think about it. Maybe I just haven't actually paid proper attention to life in Joburg. Reminisce says, when nobody can see me, I can't eat in front of people. There we go. 12 minutes past 4 on 702 Drive. Let's catch you up with all the latest traffic news.
EWN Traffic.
EWN Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance. SMS the word out to 45142 now, and you could save on car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. Karabo is keeping an eye on the roads for us as we try to navigate the very first rush hour of the week, if indeed it's started yet. Karabo Charlie.
Well, at this stage, heading towards Centurion, there's about a 20-minute delay. This is in Midrand on the N1 northbound between the Butlu Interchange and Olifantsfontein Road due to an earlier accident. In Centurion, there's a stationary truck. This is on the N1 southbound near Old Joburg Road. It's affecting 3 lanes and causing some delays. We had a voice note coming through earlier. Let's hear what they say.
The November 1 south from the Brackfontein interchange, as well as the K101, the old Pretoria Road, heading south, are completely gridlocked. So please warn listeners that if they're coming from Pretoria or Centurion to try and take alternative routes, do not get onto the November 1 or the K101. The traffic is hardly moving.
I guess those alternatives will be the R55 or the R21 through Irene and Tembisa. Hopefully that will save you some time. In Sandton, traffic remains a bit sluggish. This is on Greyston Drive between Rivonia Road and Catherine Street. Also slow-moving traffic driving through the Joburg CBD. This is on the M1 southbound between Killarney Benz and the Crown Interchange. Also bumper-to-bumper traffic in the Boksburg area heading towards Brakpan, N17 eastbound between Osborne and Rangeview Road. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app. The Outsurance pointsmen know that every car on the road carries a story. Like the eager beaver driving to meet the woman of his dreams. Butterflies in his stomach, GPS on full volume. He checks his hair for the 7th time. Looking good. The Outsurance pointsmen know it's not just a car in traffic. It's a possible love story on the move. Every story's different and every story matters. That's why the Outsurance pointsmen have been doing what they do since 2005 in proud partnership with 702. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
You're with John Perlman
on 702.
Quick cricket update. 4 balls into the 10th over, so almost at the halfway mark. South Africa 99 for 1. Quinton de Kock, the man out. 25 off 22. Aidan Markram going really strong. 46 off 27. Ryan Rickleton has made 17 runs off 11 balls so far. I do not know what would be a good score, but this appears to be a decent start. Still another 10 overs to go. In fact, they've just passed the 100 mark. 16 minutes past 4 o'clock.
in the last 24 hours. This is what's happened in your world.
It's emerged that before his death by suicide, former police reservist Leandre Pretorius was seen in a heated argument with a woman believed to be his fiancée. Pretorius died on Saturday after allegedly shooting himself at a petrol station in Brakpan days after he survived an alleged hit in Boksburg. He had been the first person of interest questioned by police following the murder of Marius van der Merwe, who was a key witness at the Madlanga Commission. Van der Merwe had implicated Pretorius in the torture and killing of Emmanuel Mbenze on the East Rand in 2022.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent.
Meet Tato Magate, CMO of Koitech, proving that South African tech can take on the world. Tato, why was Telkom Business the right call for your team?
Bottom line was connectivity and ensuring that we have the right service provider.
With Telkom Business Fiber, Koitech seamlessly connects local innovations with international manufacturing.
Get Stream Connect Fiber from just 399 Rand per month. Call 10213 or click telkom.co.za. T's and C's apply. Telkom Business. Possible begins here.
The team's on a roll today. Let me focus on payroll. Duty calls in the kitchen. That's why I have a business insurer that is agile and on the ball all the time on all things. I chose My Way Business Insurance, getting 24/7 emergency service and saving on my premiums, plus my business assist to handle my admin.
Visit myway.co.za or dial 0860 64 64 64 and get a quote today. My Way is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's, C's and standard rates apply. My Way. Live your way.
How's it, Doff? How's it, Savvy? Why are you sitting in your driveway all by your lonesome, Doff? Selling my car, Sav. I don't trust the internet. I like to wheel and deal my own wheels. That's how you make way more, Sav. Okay, so where's your car now, Doff? Potential buyers took it for a test drive. When did they take it for a test drive, Doff? 3 days ago. Should have sold it to We Buy Cars, Doff. Yeah, Savvy.
Don't be Doff, be savvy. We Buy Cars, geared for a fast, safe sale, geared for you.
Stay with 702 Afternoon Drive with John Perlman. Brought to you by Telkom Business. Possible begins here.
18 minutes past 4 now. Two of Johannesburg's most prominent and arguably successful schools are in a dispute with each other. King David High School has taken Roedean School to task for what they say was a failure to honour a inter-school tennis fixture earlier this week. But the real issue at stake is the allegation that Roedean has done this on the basis of taking an anti-Semitic stance against King David. So let's try and get some clarity on this. And welcome to the show, Lorraine Schrager. She is the principal at King David High School. Just to say, we did reach out to Roedean. They haven't come back to us in the positive, but obviously we would give them a chance to say their say. Ms. Schrager, welcome and thanks very much for giving us your time on 702. On the day on which the tennis match was meant to take place, my understanding the 3rd of February, was there actually a tennis, did the tennis take place? And if so, what transpired there? Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, John. Yeah, the tennis match was supposed to have been played on Tuesday afternoon.
Okay.
We took our kids to play the fixture, and when we arrived at Roedean, there was a no-show. There were no girls, and there was no tennis coach or anything around. So our kids arrived, and there were no children to play.
Okay, so there was no interaction. Obviously, you were there to play. There were no kids to play. How did you then explain this to your learners?
Well, I mean, there's a context to this.
Yes.
That there had been some questions over whether Roedean wanted to play us already on the Monday when I spoke to their head of school, and there was already we were going up and down, and initially Roedean didn't want to play us, and I'd asked their head of school to try and convince a group of parents that felt that they shouldn't play us. And she got back to me at about 1 o'clock that afternoon to say that the match was on, that she herself would be present. She was concerned about her parents, if there would be any heckling around the tennis court. And so once she was going to be there, I felt as the head of school of my school, I would accompany the girls as well. So that was the context to it. So we went on the basis that there was a tennis match that was going to happen.
What did she say about the reasons why some parents might be opposed to playing against King David?
Well, she phoned me, I think really to pick my brain, if I quote it, to find out whether or not there had been other schools that had refused to playing us. And she said that there are parents that are objecting to play us because of the stance the government took, and they felt that they needed to support that. And I asked her, were we the only school at this stage that they were refusing to play? And she said yes. And I said, is it because we're a Jewish day school? And she said yes. But there were other schools that Roedean would probably want to not play in the future. And she did have a concern that Roedean would just be an island because parents were putting pressure on her not to play certain schools. But certainly we were the first, and the allegation was made that it was because we were a Jewish school.
So you did, though, Ms. Schrager, say two things. The one is in relation to a stance taken in regard to the conflict in Gaza and the Middle East. And the other is because you're a Jewish day school. I understand they're related, particularly as what I understand to be King David's fairly consistent support and stance on this issue. But would you agree they're different things? The one would be a general thing: we do not want to play against any Jewish children, and the other would be we're taking the parents think we shouldn't play you because of what's happening in the Middle East. Would you agree there is an important distinction?
Well, I mean, I think we could interpret it like that, but I mean, we are a faith-based proudly South African school,
right,
just like Roedean is, who is an Anglican school, but nowhere in the conversation did the issue of the Middle East politics come up. It was purely because we are a Jewish school.
But again, I'm a bit puzzled because you said initially that because of the stance the government has taken, the government has not taken a stance on anything other than the conflict in the Middle East. So surely that was part of. I'm not commenting on whether it's right or wrong, but I'm trying to better understand what was said.
Well, I suppose you could make the inference of that, but for me, it really was the fact that we're a Jewish day school. And, she did say the line that the government had taken. I wasn't sure about what she was talking about, and I wasn't getting into that. This was not about global politics. This was not what was happening in the Middle East. This was about a tennis fixture that we had that had been confirmed last year already in November, and that was the rationale that she gave.
I want to ask you how you've been engaging with your learners, because presumably the conversation, I don't know how many kids in a tennis team, but they would have been talking. There was a voice note that I'm sure you know from your deputy principal, Bruce Nozek, which has been widely circulated. There is, I'm sure you know, audio recording of conversations you've had as well that seems to be doing the rounds. So it would be very much in the community and amongst the learner community in particular. What have you said to them so far? And what have you said so far?
Well, I mean, once this conversation had come up with the head of school from Roedean, I had called our kids before we went to Roedean to say that we are going to play tennis. I believe, and I'm a great sports lover, that sports crosses all barriers, and that they were to go to play sport in a way that we would be playing any other school, and they went willingly. There was no fear, there was no worry or anything. They knew that, you know, they were playing a tennis fixture like they do every Tuesday. When we were stood up and we didn't have a match, I spoke to the kids. I spoke to them and said, well, this is bigger than them and they're not to worry. But I had asked them and appealed to them that they were to post nothing on any platform, any social media, that this wasn't a fight that they needed to take on. And Mr. Nozag, on his own, basically on his own, posted that unfortunate voice note of which I didn't know about, because about 3 hours later at 7 o'clock, I had sent a message on my WhatsApp group to all my staff saying that this was something that we were trying desperately to try and keep out of the media. We didn't want to involve anybody. Our main concern is the children, their well-being, and so Mr. Nozag's voice note was his own.
Right.
We do, and we understand the seriousness of it, but certainly it is not school policy, and we do not endorse that kind of voice note that went out.
So I'm going to just quote a part from the voice note. I'm just watching the time. We may not get a chance to play all of it, but he says, Roedean has refused to play us because the kids who will be walking onto the courts are Jewish. Is that the school's message to the learners, that the game was cancelled because Roedean doesn't want to play against you because you're Jewish? Is that the message?
Well, I'm not sure that it's like an overt message, but I think that there was something at play here, and it's certainly important that our students know that the school just chose not to play King David.
I suppose what I want to try and draw out a bit more clearly with you, Principal, is it... There seems to me to be, and this will have a big impact on your learners, I would think. Obviously, the incident itself is enough, but if their understanding is this is a school that doesn't want anything to do with us because of who we are, as opposed to this is a school in which there is pressure from some parents not to play us because of the politics in the region, wouldn't it be important for to establish which it is, but secondly, once you know, to make that absolutely clear to the children? They have long lives ahead in this city.
Well, at this point, we're not sure what the intent was.
Right.
And certainly, you know, obviously we do message to the children, but I don't think that it's our, you know, schools are supposed to be apolitical.
Yes.
It's not our responsibility to say to the kids, well, Roedean didn't play us because of what's playing out in the Middle East or whatever the case may be. Our students are used to it. This isn't, anti-Semitism has played itself out in many schools of which we've played. The difference has been that they've been children who, on their own volition, perhaps have said things.
Right,
it has never been a school stance. So our kids are taught, they live in a world where anti-Semitism is a reality, and they're taught to hold their heads up high and to be able to mitigate that. But these are our children, whether or not they're Jewish or not, they are South African children who want to play sport, who want to be able to be within the community and to have as many rights as any other child has. So I think that's the lessons that have to be given, not to draw in politics, because I don't think that that's a healthy approach.
Thank you so much, Lorraine Schrager, Principal at King David High School. As I said, we did try to get hold of Roedean, and I certainly do hope we can get hold of them, because the statement they put out is directly contradicted by Lorraine Schrager. She said there were conversations before saying the fixture was potentially at risk because of the attitude of certain parents to playing sport against King David. The Roedean statement says that we're unable to field a team for the fixture due to prior school commitments, including compulsory academic workshops. So they can't both be right. And if what Lorraine Schrager is saying is borne out in some audio that appears to be doing the rounds, then it would seem that Roedean's first communication on the issue with the city and the broader school community in Johannesburg is simply plainly inaccurate. But we hope to get them to talk.
EWN Business.
Ray White, a very good afternoon to you. A little later than I should, but let's get the business.
Thanks, John. Good afternoon. Well, let's look at the markets then. Some of the miners have been shining once again today with the gold price above that $5,000 mark. Gains for DRD Gold following its trading update, though. Then gains also for South 32 and BHP. Glencore also up after its deal with Orion Minerals. So that's on the one side of the coin. On the other side, the all share has been dragged down by some of the other producers. Alphamin, Valterra in negative territory. The all share now 119,519 points. It's down 0.44% on yesterday. Taking a look at some of the other big stories today, Naspers has taken action as it looks to trim but bolster its assets. The giant says that it expects to sell more than 32 billion rands worth of non-core and underperforming assets in the year ahead, and that's affected its stock price today. Then Hyprop, they've agreed to sell a 50% undivided stake in Woodlands Boulevard for 791 million rand. This will free up capital and the company can now look beyond Gauteng. So those are some of the big stories today. Looking at your currencies, the rand to the dollar 15.97, the pound 21.78, the euro 18.98, gold $5,013 now and 14 cents, platinum $2,079.23, and then Brent crude oil is $68.32. More business news in an hour.
Thanks, Ray. Pulling Marquez standing by now with the very latest Eyewitness news. Good afternoon.
Thanks, John. Good afternoon. In an extraordinary move, the panel in the Nkabinde inquiry has altered its normal hearing procedure, allowing suspended NPA Gauteng head advocate Andrew Chauke to lead evidence before the evidence leaders have closed their case. The panel cited statutory deadlines and limited time to complete the process after the evidence leaders requested a postponement because their next witness were not ready. Delivering the ruling, Advocate Baloyi Mere said that approach was necessary to avoid prejudice and ensure compliance with the National Prosecuting Authority Act.
The inquiry directs as follows. The application for postponement to Tuesday, the 17th of February 2026 is dismissed. The counter-application launched by Advocate Chauke's team is granted subject to the necessary modification of the relief sought in the notice of motion. 1.3. Advocate Chauke will open his case and commence with leading evidence on Thursday, the 12th of February 2026.
Mineral and Petroleum Resources Minister Gwede Mantashe has warned African countries of race to the bottom, warning an increased demand for critical minerals could see the continent shortchanged for its abundant resources. Mantashe was addressing delegates at the Mining Indaba in Cape Town today. The annual gathering of miners, government and financiers will run for 4 days, where the state of mining challenges and investment opportunities will take center stage. Nukanya Mtambo reports.
According to the Africa Finance Corporation, Africa hosts close to $39 trillion in on-site mineral value, the equivalent of more than 20% of global mineral wealth. But the continent captures only a fraction of the economic value. To address the issue of Africa failing to capture the far larger value created when minerals are created into steel, aluminium and batteries across the globe, Mineral and Petroleum Resources Minister Gwede Mantashe says the continent's leaders must sing from the same hymn book.
This continent owes it to itself to unite, work together, talk to the outside world as one.
This year's edition of the Mining Indaba comes at a time of heightened geopolitical tensions, driven largely by the competition of some developed economies seeking greater control over the natural resources of developing nations. Mandasha says better collaboration between African countries can help avoid the destructive race to the bottom in the continent's engagement with global powers and investors. Nokukhanya Mtambo, Eyewitness News in Cape Town.
The Mpendle local municipality in KwaZulu-Natal is once again in limbo despite election of a new mayor and other office bearers last week. This follows the ANC's move to suspend 4 of its councillors. The party's provincial task team says the councillors acted against the mandate of the party in the Mpendle caucus. Mabaso reports from KZN.
Following months of instability at the Mpendle local municipality with no stable elected leadership, non-payment of salaries and financial constraints denting its poor image, the municipality is again in disarray. Cooperative Governance MEC Thulasizwe Buthelezi gave the council an instruction to re-elect a mayor and fill a few other council positions.
We have made very firm resolutions which must be followed up within 7 days, which we feel will bring stability to this municipality. As we know, there has been no mayor here since July 2025, and that is one of the major reasons why there is instability.
On Friday, the council elected new leadership, and this was welcomed by the Provincial Cooperative Governance Department. However, yesterday the ANC announced that it's recalled its councillors, including those elected to top posts. Nhlanhla Mabaso, Eyewitness News.
Eskom has revealed that illegal electricity connections in Gauteng has cost a hefty 7.7 million rand in debt. Today, the power utility has targeted its super electricity users in transgression of the law. It's disconnected 3 farms in Randfontein for several contraventions, including illegal connections and tampering with meters. 2 of the farms that produce cannabis are owned by one person and owes Eskom 2.3 million rand. The owner has been arrested for reconnecting power that was previously disconnected. Gauteng Eskom spokesperson Amanda Gleet.
When you've been issued a bill, you are given a specific date that you need to pay by. If you do not pay, then we start engaging you to say that you need to honor your payments, and if you do not, we will then disconnect you. So in this particular case, we had those engagements in terms of we've issued a bill, you have not been paying. However, the customer was then not paying.
A look at your weather. A partly cloudy Tuesday in store for Gauteng tomorrow. Temperatures drops to overnight lows of between 13 and 16, peaking at highs of between 29 and 32 degrees. Cape Town is also partly cloudy, along with fresh southeasterly winds at a higher 21, peaking at 27 degrees.
Well, at the stage, leaving Sandton, heading towards Midrand, expect about a 20-minute delay. This is on the M1 northbound between Kohler Drive and the Bethlehem Interchange. Also in the Joburg CBD, traveling towards Boysen, slow-moving traffic, M1 southbound. This is from Killarney Bains to the Crown Interchange.
The top story in Eyewitness News this hour: in an extraordinary move, the panel in the Nkabinde inquiry has alerted its normal hearing procedure, allowing suspended NPA Gauteng head advocate Henry Chauke to lead evidence before the evidence leaders have closed their case.
The Midday Report.
Weekdays,
12 to 1.
The Action SA does support the rule of law, right? Where does it cross the line to vigilantism, though?
Certainly. I mean, Action SA is a party that stands for the rule of law, and that is why we have advised, and the lawyers have advised Councillor Khumalo not to be directly involved with some of these activities. What transpired after is something that he cannot be held responsible for, but it's certainly something that we are keeping our eye on the ball and making sure that the police do get to the bottom of it.
Sianda Makubo is the spokesperson for Ekurhuleni Khumalo.
The Midday Report
with Mandy Wiener.
12 to 1 on 702.
702.
For Olwethu Nxumalo of Ozide Rentals and Custom Dressmaking, every stitch is a story. What's your Telkom business chapter?
What made Telkom business stand out from all the rest was how fast everything was.
And with voice calling and fiber from Telkom Business, she stitches together inquiries and sources fabric online without dropping a thread.
Get unlimited VoIP 1 from 99 Rand per month and Stream Connect Fiber from 399 Rand per month. Call 10213 or click telkom.co.za. T's and C's apply. Telkom Business. Possible begins begins here.
When it comes to protecting your workforce, trust the workwear brand that has been protecting workers for over 150 years, Sweetall. Sweetall has overalls and uniform solutions for every industry, so your team is safe, comfortable, and ready to tackle any challenge. Visit our Boksburg showroom, shop A1 Atlas Road, Westwood, Boksburg, or go to sweetall.com today. Sweetall, we never let you down. Superior protective workwear since 1871.
The Johannesburg Philharmonic Orchestra presents its Valentine's Gala concert with music to melt your heart. Conducted by Daniel Boyko, the concert features award-winning pianist Charles Duplessis and showcases South Africa's ballroom champions. Saturday, 14th February at 7 p.m. at the Linda Auditorium. Tickets at Quicket.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Hi, John. So we haven't heard from Roedean, and I'm not quite sure what the actual story is. But what I can imagine the story is that parents are objecting to St. David's being an overtly Zionist school, not a Jewish school. And Zionism is most definitely a political position. I think the headmaster or the headmistress is quite disingenuous by saying that, this is an apolitical thing and so on, because Zionism is most definitely a political position, one that the school has adopted for many years. Just recently I was reading an open letter from a prominent old St. David's pupil that spoke to this issue. And therefore, I think if I were a parent at Roedean, I think I would also have objections because I'm anti-Zionist. So I think that's what it is. But let's hear from Roedean. It's Peter from Johannesburg.
Hi, John. This is Peter from Pretoria, Swani. It is so sad to listen to Lorraine. Unfortunately, she's not honest about the whole thing. And my opinion, and what she said, that schools are apolitical. That's unfortunately misnomer, and we're thinking that schools are absolved from politics. And many professions tend to think that way. We are living in societies, and therefore we need to understand politics. Politics are everywhere, whether you like it or not, even in churches. Thank you. Bye.
Malume John. I love the way you handled this interview with the principal of King David. I can't wait to hear the response from Roedean. Hopefully they do make it to the show. But I find it very interesting how these politics are making, or they've trickled down to such a level where it impacts how we engage each other in schools. I don't know if it will extend to the workplace, but very interesting to see.
Yeah, lots of response coming in on that interview. If you did miss our interview with the principal of King David High School, Lorraine Schrager, very interesting indeed. You can pick it up on our website, primemediaplus.com. This message: the King David kids are Jewish kids. If you hold them responsible for events in the Middle East, then does the school also hold all Muslim kids in Muslim schools accountable for the activities of the atrocities committed by Iran, where 30,000 citizens were butchered in 24 hours to quell freedom of speech, or where women are arrested for expressing their freedom by not wearing the hijab, especially seeing as though Roedean is a school for girls. So, yeah, we're talking. Keep that coming, please. 072 702 1702, 16 minutes to 5.
EWN Sport.
Lincoln, it's over. Not quite, but T20 goes pretty fast, Tolakele. How far have we got in our opener against Canada? Good afternoon.
Afternoon, John. Well, the Proteas have moved to 152 for the loss of 4. That's in the 16th over of their T20 World Cup clash against Canada. At the crease is Tristan Stubbs on 4 alongside David Miller on 11. The last batsman to fall was Devout Brevis for 6. Over to the Nedbank Cup, where Richards Bay, Orlando Pirates and Golden Arrows are just some of the teams who are through to the last 16 following wins this weekend, while the draw for the next round will take place on Wednesday night. Following their victory over Jakumatsama Zivanzela, Adeslam Adu insisted that Sipho Mbule and Patrick Masongwanyi will still get game time, despite Rile Mofokeng thriving as the Buccaneers' number 10.
I was very happy about the commitment of the impact players. We knew that they will give their best. We bring them because we needed the profile of players to find our tennis between the lines, these vertical passes, and I think these two players had these abilities to find the players between the lines, and they covered the chances that they had.
Durban City have confirmed the departure of Sinetemba Badela, bringing an abrupt end to his short spell in charge of the KZN side. Badela was appointed as successor to Gavin Hunt, but results during his brief stint were mixed, and assistant coach Pitso Dladla is expected to step in as a caretaker head coach. Switching over to the Premier League, where Michael Carrick believes he still has a lot more to do. That's if he's to get the Manchester United job permanently. The interim head coach has won all 4 Premier League games since taking charge last month, as he propelled United into the top 4.
Everyone's invested in it. I think that goes a long way. I think tactics and certain times, the game can flow in different ways and you can look very different, good or bad, but being in a real good emotional place helps you. And again, that proved to be the case. It was different today. We had to manage the game, control the game and show patience and good quality, but there's different ways to do it. But certainly the 4 games that we've had slightly look different, but we're not getting carried away. I'm not sitting here thinking we've everything's great, we've cracked it. There's a lot of work to do.
And Alec Beckley and Philip Henning delivered spectacular performances as South Africa fought from 2-1 down to beat Montenegro 3-2. That's in their Davis Cup World Cup Group 2 playoff. Beckley had to dig deep as he came back from 5-2 down in the first set to wrap up a 7-6 and 6-3 win in the singles.
It was awesome. Obviously yesterday it was a weight on my shoulders. I felt like I didn't play very good and I felt I let us down there because I know my level. And then today didn't start as well, which you can really spiral mentally. And then I just managed to keep calm, and then I pulled it through. So I'm very happy with the result, and that I found my rhythm, and that I can take us through to the next one.
Tolagile Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
This EWN Traffic is brought to you by Cars.coza. Let's find what moves you. Boksburg was bad. Boksburg remains not great, eh?
Yeah, that's heading towards the Brakpan area. So between Brakpan and Boksburg, we still have those roadworks causing heavy delays on the N17 eastbound between Osborne and Rangeview Road, while in Midrand expect about a 20-minute delay heading towards Pretoria. N1 North from the Platoons to Olifantsfontein Road, and in Waterkloof, Pretoria, slow-moving traffic. N1 North between the R21 Flying Saucer Interchange and Atterbury Road. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
It's Carl de Koza here in another Carl de Koza production starring Carl de Koza and Cars.coza. In this country, we don't just drive cars, we love cars. So slide into our DMs on WhatsApp and let's find what moves you.
Bongani Bingwa, 702 Breakfast.
Weekday mornings, 6 to 9.
How many more times will the Gauteng Department of Health spit in the faces of South Africans? With 144 life Esidimeni patients, not enough? Was the amount of money, the millions stolen as part of the COVID relief effort, was that not enough? The 2 billion rand siphoned off from Tembisa Hospital, was that not enough? How many more times will they continue spitting in our faces?
Bongani Bingwa, 6 to 9.
On 702.
Get your brain in the game, because the brain of 702 is back with your chance to flex your general knowledge smarts. There's 3,000 Rand up for grabs every day, and Brain of the Week wins 10,000 Rand, plus a spot in the finals to compete for the grand prize, 30,000 Rand cash. Enter on primemediaplus.com now. Then catch 702 Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa, and 702 Drive with me, John Perlman, for your chance to be the brain of 702. TCs and more on primemediaplus.com.
Let's hear from Shemaine, owner of Vovotello Linwood, why it pays to switch to Outsurance Business Insurance.
I wish we had switched sooner. Not only was it quick and easy, but also gave us more favourable premiums.
For restaurants, pharmacies, and all other businesses, get a quote today and see why it pays to switch to Outsurance Business Insurance. Visit outsurance.co.za or call 08600 60,000 today. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
You may not know this, but that genius, Albert Einstein, he never wore socks. Which proves that even the smartest people aren't always smart. But you can shop like an absolute genius at DecoFern Furniture with unbeatable deals on office chairs, desks, and much more. Plus up to 50% off end-of-range items. Work smarter, study smarter, and definitely shop smarter at DecoFern Furniture right now, in-store or at decofernsa.co.za.
When the brightest brains collide in the biggest general knowledge quiz in Gauteng, it's time for the Brain of 702.
It is time at the start of a new week to put your brilliance on display in the Brain of 702. Prove your mental might for your chance to win a share of 130,000 Rand in cash. And of course, there's a highly coveted title of the Brain of 702. You could win 1,500 Rand in this round and another 1,500 if you win tomorrow on Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa. The Brain of 702, your brain, our stage. What about you? Are you ready to step into the spotlight? Why not? The winner of this round gets 1,500 Rand and will be crowned the brain of the day and go on to play again tomorrow and possibly through the rest of the week, where on Friday afternoon they stand to win 10,000 Rand as the weekly brain of 702. Ultimately, you could go on to win a further 30,000 Rand should you be declared the brain of 702. To be part of the action, register on primemediaplus.com and we could call to put you through our qualifier. So let's meet our contestants. First of all, Robinson Malema from Soshanguve was on fire this morning with 11 points. Robinson, a very good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, John.
Hey, you got a tough act to follow, but in fact, you don't have to beat Robinson Malema from this morning. You just have to beat your opponent today. So good luck to you. You are up against Maduva Mpapuli, who is on the line to us from Centurion. Maduva, welcome. Great to have you with us as well.
Thank you so much, John.
And the best of luck to you too. Rules very
Thank
quickly
you.
for both of you. 60 seconds to answer 15 questions. The contestant who gets the most answers correct is the winner. It would be very odd if it was anything else. And if scores are equal, we will play sudden death. That gets tight, that gets exciting, but we're not there yet. Just to remind you, as I always do, we do often ask you to spell a word. If you say pass on the spelling, I will spell it anyway. So you're not saving time. My view is have a little stab at it and see if you can get it right. So, Robinson, you as the incumbent, you as the defending champion so far today, get to go first. Your time starts now.
3, 2, 1.
Spell the word epitome.
E-P-I-T-O-M-E.
Correct. True or false? Hamburg is Germany's second most populous city.
True.
According to the proverb, which predator doesn't change its spots?
Leopard.
Correct. On which continent is the Mojave Desert?
North America.
Correct. Which chess piece was once called the elephant?
Bishop.
Correct. In which province is the town Margate?
KwaZulu-Natal.
Correct. What beginning with S is the chef called who works directly under the head chef?
Seuss.
Correct. True or false? The Tropic of Capricorn goes through... Let me ask you, true or false? The Tropic of Capricorn goes through Mozambique.
True.
Correct. In which country are the cities Odessa and Mariupol?
Ukraine.
Correct. What is the name of Barbie's younger sister? Dancer or skipper?
Skipper.
Correct. Okay, you managed to come up with another big score. Robinson, 10 points. That is what you are up against. Maduva Mpapuli. Your time, if you're ready. Let me just make sure you are.
Yes, I'm ready.
Great. Maduva, your time starts now. Spell
2, 1.
Spell the word perimeter.
Perimeter.
Correct. True or false? Marseille is the second most populous city in France.
True.
Correct. According to the proverb, which animals will play when the cat's away?
The mouse.
Correct. On which continent is the Gobi Desert?
North America. Asia.
Correct. Which chess piece was once called the Chariot?
The pawn.
Rook. In which province is the town Agulhas?
Western Cape.
Correct. What beginning with S is a trained wine professional or steward called?
Pass.
Somalia. True or false? The Tropic of Cancer runs through Namibia.
True.
False. In which country are the cities Caracas and Maracaibo?
Venezuela.
Correct. What is the name of Barbie's younger sister, Chelsea or Janet?
Janet.
Chelsea. Vertical lines around... Okay, no chance for that very last question. I know that you've put up a very good show, but was it good enough? Maduva, falling short, you got 6 correct. You did really well, and thank you so much for playing. Congratulations, Robinson. You are our reigning brain and the brain of the day. You've won 1,500 Rand. Thanks to 702, you will play again with Bongani Bingwa tomorrow. And if you're still standing after that round, you will be the brain of the day and continue the battle for brilliance. Now, for a chance to prove your mental might and to win your share of 130,000 Rand, visit primemediaplus.com to register. You could become the brain of 702 and walk away with the ultimate general knowledge prize. 702 Drive. It is 3 minutes now to 5 o'clock.
You're now listening to 702 Afternoon Drive with John Perlman. Brought to you by Telkom Business. Possible begins here.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
So, after 5 o'clock, I said we're going to be taking a closer look at an IPID finding. Now, it's interesting. IPID findings are often important. We don't cover all of them because that's not possible. But this one focuses on a police shooting, the use of lethal force which led to the death of 4 people. The cops insisted these were wanted criminals, they were dangerous, and they were shot dead. IPID has found that none of the 4 were actually connected to any crime. They also found that they tampered with video evidence as a way of justifying what they did. So it's an important story. As you'll recall, we had many interesting and I thought very, very productive debates indeed about the policing style in KZN. I have to say, most of you are saying, well done to the KZN cops. But yeah, good to hear from you on that, if you like. Otherwise, wait for the interviews we've got lined up and give your views then. Let's go to this now. We're getting an anonymous call, but from a parent, I believe, at Roedean, whose daughter plays in the tennis team. Very good afternoon to you, ma'am, and welcome. You heard our interview with Lorraine Schrager from King David High School, and you wanted to respond. Over to you. What's on your mind?
Hi, good afternoon. Yes, so I was privy to the comments by the headmistress of King David, and I wanted to make a few comments just relating to the context. So 2 years ago, 2024, girls from Roedean played tennis against King David, went over to the school, and were pretty intimidated by the setup at school. Lots of guards with automatic weapons, IDF recruitment posters, and the flag of Israel. So for the King David headmistress to say that her school, that this is not about politics, it's nuance. The school has an extrinsic and overt association to the state of Israel. And so when girls came back from this fixture, they relayed to the school that they were not comfortable and they were intimidated to play at the school. The school then decided to interview girls and to find out what their levels of comfort were playing at the school. And so that's how the backstory to the fixture has come about.
But
this is not about parents, right?
Yes,
And
okay.
I think we need to understand that Roedean is arguably the top girls' school in Johannesburg. These girls have minds of their own. So this is not about parents rallying around a tennis court. The parents don't attend senior fixtures. So I just want to give a bit of background with respect to that.
But can I just ask you this? This fixture was going to be played at Roedean. So
Yes.
the discomfort they would feel being in that physical environment would not apply here, would it?
Oh, well, it wouldn't apply in the sense that the school was coming to us, correct? But I think there's still a reservation on the part of the girls in terms of playing the school. And I think that's where the conversation needs to head to. It's not about being reactive or crying anti-Semitism. It's about understanding this as an issue, that this is a school, King David, which is associated to the state of Israel. Roedean is not associated to Palestine. It's not overtly linked to Russia or Ukraine. All the other schools have no such political associations. So I do believe that if students in the tennis team opted not to play against members of the school, it's because they believe that the school represents something bigger than just a school.
Are you not uncomfortable then that the school wasn't just straight and direct about it and issued a statement in defense of its actions that is demonstrably false?
No, it's not demonstrably false. There was a compulsory maths workshop scheduled for the same day as the fixture. And a number of the A-team girls had to attend that workshop. So yes, I think so?
But you get fixtures well in advance. You plan workshops well in advance. The school chose to avoid the issue in its statement. Surely you have to agree that's clear.
I don't have to agree on anything. What I'm saying is that there was a clash of a fixture. So whether the school could have prevented this or not, sure, is a different issue, but that is factually correct.
Thank you so much. Okay, well, a lot of different views on this. Please do keep them coming on 011 883 0702 072 702 1702. 2 minutes past 5.
This is EWN.
Madanga inquiry raises doubts over Bihari's testimony, and ad hoc committee secures in-person testimony from Paul O'Sullivan. Good afternoon, I'm Puleng Make. Commissioners at the Madanga inquiry are not convinced by testimony from Ekurhuleni Metro's suspended legal head, Kemi Bihari, who failed to support the extended suspension of a senior official. In February 2023, EMPD Deputy Chief Julius Mkhwanazi was suspended for allegedly fitting blue lights on to fleet of cars belonging to crime boss Vusimuzi Matlala. However, when his suspension expired, Bihari refused to support an extension. Tabiso Koba reports.
Ekurhuleni Municipality's suspended head of legal, Kemi Bihari, says he was approached by an investigating officer for legal guidance regarding the extending of the suspension of EMPD's deputy chief, Julius Mkhwanazi. Bihari says he found evidentiary gaps in the investigation. Bihari says he felt there were more witnesses that needed to be questioned, including News 24's investigative journalist Jeff Wicks, who exposed the blue light scandal. However, Chairperson Mbuyiseli Madlanga says he doesn't understand why he would need a statement from a journalist.
All that he did was to bring into the public domain facts of which the EMPD people were either aware or could easily have become aware, and you've already accepted that. Yeah. So I don't understand why you would have insisted on a statement by Mr. Jeff Wicks.
Bihari says after Mkhwanazi's suspension expired, the matter was never raised again until recently. Tabiso Koba, Eyewitness News.
National Assembly Speaker Toko Didiza says that she's pleased the ad hoc committee investigating allegations of police corruption has managed to convince forensic investigator Paul O'Sullivan to give evidence in person. O'Sullivan had earlier refused to appear physically and wanted a virtual appearance because of security concerns. The committee then tried to get Didiza to issue a warrant to force O'Sullivan, as well as alleged ANC fixer Brown Mokgotsi, to appear. But she declined the request and said the committee should continue engaging the witnesses. Parliament spokesperson Moloto Motapo says Didiza is happy the committee has managed to get through to O'Sullivan, who is now agreed to appear in person tomorrow and on Wednesday.
The Speaker of the National Assembly welcomes the ad hoc committee's decision to continue engaging Mr. Brown Mokhodzi and Mr. Paul O'Sullivan. The Speaker is pleased that this approach has resulted in one of these witnesses availing himself to appear physically before the ad hoc committee to testify from Tuesday without the need for summonses to be issued.
The inquiry into Gauteng prosecution's boss, Andrew Chauke, has rejected a request by evidence leaders to postpone hearings to 17 February. The inquiry will now resume on Thursday, 12 February, with Advocate Chauke's legal team cleared to start calling witnesses immediately. Evidence leaders have battled to bring witnesses before the inquiry after former NPA head Shamila Batoyi was grilled by Chauke's lawyers. They told the panel their witnesses are not ready. Dimakatsole Shuru has more.
The first to testify in Chauke's defense is Advocate Sello Maema, former Deputy Director of Public Prosecutions in the Northwest. The panel has set strict deadlines. Witness statements must be circulated 2 days before testimony, with the initial statement due by 10 February and any supplementary documents by 12 noon on 11 February. This change of plan comes after former NPA head Shamila Batoyi abandoned her testimony in December during cross-examination, citing a lack of legal representation. Batoyi has now appointed a legal team, but it's unclear when she will resume her testimony. The inquiry has until June to complete its work. Dimakatsele Shoro, Eyewitness News.
Police watchdog IPID has approached the Director of Public Prosecutions in KwaZulu-Natal to probe circumstances surrounding a deadly shootout between officers and criminals in Durban. The case relates to a high-speed chase near Duff's Road that ended in an exchange of fire when suspects allegedly shot at police. 4 suspects were shot and killed in the incident, which happened in March last year. IPID now believes there is no reason to question the police version of events and more so their actions. Ntlanta Mabaso reports.
IPID believes there are loopholes in the police's details regarding to what led to the death of 4 suspects during the incident last year. The watchdog strongly suspects police acted in an unjust manner when they shot and killed the 4 who allegedly opened fire first. It says the evidence provided by the police is not consistent with the case docket. In the leaked letter sent by EWN, IPID authorities say police twisted their story after video footage emerged showing the suspects cooperating with police. IPID has told EWN that it can only comment on the matter after getting a response from the DPP. KZN police are yet to weigh in. Nhlanhla Mabaso, Eyewitness News, Durban.
Gold is trading at $5,000, 22 cents an ounce. The rand is at 15.96 to the dollar, at 21.77 to the pound, at 19.01 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $68.05 a barrel.
Waterkloof, there's slow-moving traffic on the N1 northbound. This is between the R21 Flying Saucer interchange and Atterbury, while in Groenkloof, traffic pressure on George Storer Drive. This is between Tutoy and the Fountain Circle.
In your sport, the Proteas up against Canada as they get their T20 World Cup campaign underway. Kaizer Chiefs looking to seal a quarterfinal berth with victory over Zamalek in the CAF Confederation Cup. And Australian sprinter Gout will not race at the 2026 Commonwealth Games.
A look at your weather. A partly cloudy Tuesday in store for Gauteng tomorrow. Johannesburg drops to overnight lows of 15, peaking at 29 degrees. Pretoria 13 and 32. Vereeniging drops to overnight lows of 16 and peak at highs of 31. Cape Town is also partly cloudy, along with fresh southeasterly winds at a higher 21, peaking at 27 degrees. The top story in Eyewitness News this hour: commissioners at the Madlanga inquiry are not convinced by testimony from Ekurhuleni Metro's suspended legal head, Kemi Behari, who failed to support the extended suspension of a senior official.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
702.
Drive home with John Perlman.
John Perlman, 3 to 6 p.m.
On 92.7 and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive, it's 9 minutes past 5. Welcome to the last hour of the show. Coming up, we're going to be taking a closer look at an IPID finding in regard to the KZN police. A deadly gunfight last March, 4 men left dead, and then concerns that this might have been a wrongful killing in the first place and then a cover-up to follow. The IPID findings in regard to this incident that took place along Dumisani Makaye Drive, it's a main road just outside Kwamashu Township. It really is a very, very important finding indeed. And Nhlanhla Mabaso is joining us to give us an update on that. And then we've got Dr. Simon Howell, criminologist from the University of Cape Town's Centre of Criminology. Please keep your voice notes coming on 011 883 0702 and 072 702 1702. We're also keeping a close eye on South Africa's first game of the T20 Cricket World Cup. That's up against Canada. We're batting first, and the last time I looked, we were doing pretty well. But Tolakele Mganga will update you with the full details of that. It's 10 minutes now past 5.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Hello, John. I just have to say that the St. David School principal's victimhood is actually nauseating. I think these guys, they just need to grow up. They have to. I don't understand how they can be teaching their kids such nonsense. I mean, everything for them it's anti-Semitism. Like, I just don't understand. They are the ones who are politicizing everything, not the other school. So please, man, these guys, no, they must stop this one day in Midrand.
Hi, John. Yeah, as a parent of a student that went to Roedean, 3 cheers to Roedean for putting up a principled stance. Yes, the lady from King David, Lorraine, playing on the anti-Semitism card once again. That's an old trick in this community. They're blinded by the fact of what they see on the television and what they're seeing on their mobile phones as to what has happened. They openly support what happens in Israel in every form, from the time that they indoctrinate the kids here in South Africa to the time that they get them to make Aliyah and serve in the IDF and butcher innocent people with the help of the United States. So yes, no normal sport in an abnormal society as it was coined in apartheid days. Yes, you're speaking to Faisal. Cheers.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what you're saying, Faisal, by saying that you applaud the stance that Roedean took, because it doesn't really appear as if Roedean took much of a stance. Roedean ummed and ahed. Roedean then said, oh, well, we have a clash because there's an academic workshop, instead of saying straight out. And if you listen to the voice note of the conversation, because that's now all over social media, of the head of school at Roedean with the principal of King David, saying that there's some in the parent body, but she still needs to talk to them. So she's not clear about what's being said. And then we heard from one of the parents of the players saying, no, it's actually the kids who are campaigning for this. So I don't think Roedean's taken a stance at all. I think they've got themselves into choppy water precisely because they haven't been candid and said, this is the issue on the table. Certainly in their public statement, I believe that their board is meeting at the moment and they are going to put out another statement later today. So we hope it'll be in time for our show. 702 Drive, 13 minutes past 5.
EWN Traffic.
EWN Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance. SMS the word to out to 45142 now, and you could save on car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. At 14 minutes past 5, Karabo Charlie delays in Waterkloof, I believe.
Yeah, Waterkloof for slow-moving traffic. That's heading towards the Linwood area, N1 northbound, between the R21 Flying Saucer interchange and Atterbury Road in Groenkloof. Also traffic pressure on George Storer Drive between De Toy and the Fountain Circle, while in Midrand you can still expect about a 20-minute delay heading towards Pretoria. N1 northbound from the Between's Change to Olifantsfontein Road. If you're leaving Sandton heading towards Midrand, expect about a 20-minute delay. This is on the M1 northbound from Corlet all the way to the Between's Change, while driving through Parktown, Joburg CBD, traffic a bit sluggish on the M1 southbound from Killarney Bends to the Crown Interchange, while in Edenville, bumper traffic on the R24 westbound between Edenville Road and the Gilulis Interchange. Boksburg heading towards Brakpan, there's also about a 20-minute delay. N17 eastbound, this is between Osborne Road and Rangeview Road. And finally, driving through Alex Edenville heading towards Germiston, expect about a 30-minute delay. This is on the N3 southbound between Marlborough Drive and the Elands Interchange. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
February is all about love, but your child's coach won't be feeling the love if you're late for the game. Fortunately, the Outsurance pointsmen are here to ease the traffic congestion so you can get to the school on time. With the Outsurance pointsmen on the roads for the past 20 years, we can all get where we need to be quickly and safely. With Outsurance, you really always get something out. In proud partnership with 702. Show them some love online using #PointsmenLove. Licensed insurer and FSP.
Driving the conversation on 702 Afternoon Drive with John Perlman. Powered by Telkom Business. Possible begins here.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Right, let's focus our attention now on that IPID issue, specifically in regard to a deadly gunfight involving the KwaZulu-Natal police. The shootout in March 2025 left 4 men dead, and the Independent Police Investigative Directorate has been looking into it, pointed out big gaps in the story, they say. Now, the cops said that the men that they were involved, they clashed with, were extortionists. Their loved ones said they were innocent community helpers gunned down without a cause, and they've been pushing for charges against the officers involved. Now, let's find out exactly what IPID has found. And Nhlanhla Mabaso, a very good afternoon to you. And Nhlanhla, at the time, the police said that the men started shooting at them first, opening fire with heavy weapons, and the police shot back in self-defense. What did IPID find? I mean, first of all, did IPID find that these 4 men had guns? And secondly, if they did have guns, did they use them?
Well, good afternoon, John. Well, according to IPID, was that police actually changed their story. The initial statement by the police, I remember this was 20 March 2025, which was last year. Police actually said that they were engaged in a high-speed chase with these suspects alongside Duff's Road and Dumisani Makhanye, and that is between Yo Inanda and Claremont, both in the north of Durban. And that's where the shooting exactly happened, John. Like, police said the suspects got off the car and started shooting at them, and then they have had to return fire. And now IP comes back and said, but there's a circulating video which was then allegedly taken by a passerby who then showed that actually these guys actually surrendered, and at the time were cooperating with the police and were under heavy police guard with police armed rifle. I can confirm to have seen a glimpse of that video before, but was not sure that it was this particular incident. But then IP then says it raises eyebrows and then questions as to how they then engaged police from being heavily guarded by officers with high caliber firearms and then having to engage them in a gunfire. IPID says these are the discrepancies it has found. IPID is actually opposing the police stance in this regard, even saying that what they provided as evidence is actually not inconsistent with what is on the case docket, which then pushed IPID to actually submit this to the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution in KwaZulu-Natal, Advocate Elaine Harrison, saying that they want this to be looked into. They're still awaiting confirmation, John, of whether the NPA will prosecute or not. But I must mention, John, that there's not been any formal communication from IPID besides them confirming that indeed they did send that document, the docket, to the to the DPP in KwaZulu-Natal on the 5th of January this year, and they are yet to receive a comment. But what we've seen in that form of that letter, John, is just a letter which IPID then was writing to an insurance company, and then the insurance company, of course, that's how we got a hold of that, John.
Yeah. And Klanta, do you happen to know? Oh my dear, terrible echo. But let's push on. Do you happen to know if IPID is busy with any other similar matters? Because there was, to my mind, a real succession of similar kinds of cases. KZN police involved in these shootouts. A lot of public approval for Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi at the time, certainly when we had him on the show. He had his real backers here in Gauteng. But I didn't get the sense that IPID had dealt with many of these cases until now. Is there still quite a lot on in the in-tray?
Indeed, John, there are a lot of ongoing investigations by IPID to determine we were shot first stance by the police in KwaZulu-Natal. And I'm saying this because in every crime scene that I've attended, and I must mention, John, last year, EWN covered over 50 of those deadly shootings or scenes, deadly scenes rather. But I'm very sure that the figure is quite more than that. But according to IPID, investigations are underway in most of these cases. I must mention, John, there's never been a single incident that I've covered where you don't see IPID investigators arriving on the scene to do their own leg of the investigations. Yes, indeed, they are working on a number of cases linked to this, but not just this. They're also working on that case, you recall, late last year when a police officer was killed by a fellow police. Yet the shooter did not know that the person that he's opening fire on is actually a crime intelligence officer, Constable. He was shot and killed in a road rage incident, shot by another Constable Zulu. That case, I can confirm, speaking of sources, who will say they're actually looking at that as well. The case has been taken away from their hold. So indeed, there are many other cases, John, that they say they're investigating. But what's intriguing with this particular one, John, is that while IPID says in a statement, it's not found. I mean, what police said about the suspect, then alleged suspect, who are now deceased, that they are implicated in a number of crimes, including extortion, the killing of people, and hijacking. IPID said it found that none of them are implicated in that. But the most intriguing part, recently there was a video trending on social media, John, of a guy firing a high-caliber firearm on the air. There was excitement around him. I sent that video to one of the brigadiers at the provincial police here, Brigadier Saunders, who I then asked to say, but what are you doing about this? Because people are raising concerns on social. They say this suspect was among those who were killed in Duff's Road. Now, it's a bit of a contradictory statement there, John. If the IPID says, well, we've not found anything on these guys, but there's a video of one of them. But again, IPID says this matter, that's how they close their letter to the insurance. This case is still under investigation. And
thanks so much, Nhlanhla Mabasa, EWN reporter. Let's get the views now of Dr. Simon Howell, criminologist at the University of Cape Town. Dr. Howell, welcome and thanks very much for giving us your time on this. Does this tell us IPID is working well? I mean, we had Nhlanhla Mabasa saying he had covered at least 50 similar kinds of incidents. I'm not for a minute suggesting they're identical in their the way they played out. But it sounds like IPID's got a lot of work on their hands. Have they got it right this time round, from what you can see?
Well, from what I can see, I mean, IPID does have a number of cases on file, and this being one of them. I think the concern is the relationship IPID has with law enforcement agencies and with the police ministry, and whether any type of oversight can be conducted in a completely independent manner. And secondly, is whether IPID has the institutional capacity to deal effectively with these cases, so as that they actually have some form of outcome that is that is based in the criminal justice system. And in those instances, in the past, since there have been issues around that, I mean, both in terms of resources and independence, as we all know, the previous police minister was very much against IPID and the like. So, there is an institutional issue here, and there is also a political issue, and whether they can escape that is ultimately the concern, and whether they can conduct investigations independently.
We spoke about this a lot last year when there was something of a spike, and I don't have the chronology because we dip in and out of this particular story. But when there'd been a succession, Dr. Howell, of police in shootouts with people they say were known criminals in KZN, and those criminals were in significant numbers getting killed down in KZN. The response of our audience was overwhelmingly positive. I suggested there might be a downside to this, and this would suggest that if indeed IPID has got all the I's and T's correctly dotted and crossed, that there was a downside here, that these were 4 people not involved in crime at all. But how do you strike the balance between a public that is desperate to see people shoot back at criminals on the one hand, and a South African police service that is showing that there are so many things it doesn't do by the book anyway?
Well, I mean, exactly. That's one of the significant problems, and it's a balance that is very hard to find. I think I think in 2024, at least the last time I remember, there were about 250 odd incidences or reported incidences of the police in KZN using lethal force to deal with people. Now, the concern, of course, is that while lethal force may be needed at some point, the police have to operate within the ambit of the law, especially considering that they uphold the law. So there's no excuse or that deviation here. And in many instances, I sense that the police may not be upholding the letter of the law, and as such, that brings into doubt their own legitimacy, but also brings into doubt the rule of law in the country. Now, of course, I sense and I know that people want action and they want a response, and that in KZN this type of action is seen as something good and positive. But we need to remember that so long as the police are operating outside the ambit of the law, then we need to question whether they can uphold the law, because they themselves are not following it. And so it's important that in the context where policing is done by consent, as such as in any democratic order, that the police uphold the law and remain within the law. And if unfortunately they go beyond the law, then they need to be investigated, and there needs to be oversight in the form of IPID or something. But it is a very difficult balance to uphold, especially in the context of South Africa, where the criminals shoot back quite a lot, or quite frequently.
Thank you so much, Dr. Simon Howell, criminologist at the University of Cape Town. 27 minutes past 5.
EWN Business.
Ray White, a very good afternoon to you. What's been happening on the markets as we start a new week?
Well, John, good afternoon. Looking at those markets, some of the miners have been shining once again today, with the gold price above the $5,000 mark. So it's about $5,030 at the moment. Harmony up at the close. Gains also for DRD Gold. They had this great trading update today. I mean, they can't lose at the moment with the gold price, you see. Then gains also for South 32 and BHP. Glencore is also up after a deal with Orion Minerals. But on the other side, the oil share has been dragged down somewhat by some of the others. Alphamin and also Valterra taking on water today and losing some ground. So the oil share closing up a 0.19% at the close. A little bit better than yesterday's close. Taking a look at some of the big stories today. The mining Indaba, of course, underway. The Minerals Council SA is adamant that Transnet's turnaround will benefit the country's mining industry. And now the council's CEO, Mzila Mtanjane, says the state-owned utilities rail performance is now trending upwards, he says, thanks to ongoing efforts at reform. However, persistent vandalism, he says, means the cost of repairing the country's vast railway network remains a concern for council members and other private party operators. Stephen will have more on this story tonight and others from what's happening at the Minerals Indaba. Then in other news, Naspers has taken action as it looks to trim but bolster its assets. The giant says it expects to sell more than 32 billion rands worth of non-core and underperforming assets in the year ahead. There have been a number of acquisitions since CEO Fabrizio Bugliosi took over in 2024, and with the most recent acquisition of JustEatTakeaway.com in Europe, he says there are no plans for mergers, but they are looking further afield. Now, the news, Hyprop has agreed to sell a 50% undivided stake in Woodlands Boulevard for 791 million rand. This will free up capital, and the company can also now look beyond Gauteng. Hyprop had planned to sell 50% of its Hyde Park corner, but this whole deal fell through. There was quite a bit of disappointment with this one. Well, they say they're now looking at the Western Cape and Europe to see if they can diversify there. Looking at your currencies at the moment, the rand has been holding strong against the dollar. You've seen what's been happening with commodities, but now 15.91 to the greenback, 21.75 to the pound, the euro 18.95, gold now $5,031.77, and this has helped our commodities today, our miners today, and you can see that most of them gaining about 2%. Here or there, some losing as well. Platinum, $2,114.68, and then Brent crude oil a little bit up at $68.63. So Stephen Crotus will have more for you on the Money Show tonight. Ray White, CWN Business.
7:02 drive, it's 5:30. Thank you, Ray. Ray with you Ray's back a little bit later. Stephen back with the Money Show between 6 and 8. I'm getting a thumbs up as I try and figure out who's who. Some people are in Cape Town, some people are here. Ray updating us on the markets today, updating us on the news. Pulling Marke, very good afternoon to you.
Thanks, John. Good afternoon. Police watchdog IPID has approached the Director of Public Prosecutions in KwaZulu-Natal to probe circumstances surrounding a deadly shootout between officers and criminals in Durban. The case relates to a high-speed chase near Duff's Road that ended in an exchange of fire when suspects allegedly shot at police. 4 suspects were shot and killed in the incident, which happened in March last year. IPID now believes there is reason to question the police version of events and more so their actions. Nhlanhla Mabaso reports.
IPID believes there are loopholes in the police's details regarding to what led to the death of 4 suspects during the incident last year. The watchdog strongly suspects police acted in an unjust manner when they shot and killed the 4 who allegedly opened fire first. It says the evidence provided by the police is not consistent with the case docket. In the leaked letter sent by EWN, IPID authorities say police twisted their story after video footage emerged showing the suspects cooperating with police. IPID has told EWN that it can only comment on the matter after getting a response from the DPP. KZN police are yet to weigh in. Nhlanhla Mabaso, Eyewitness News, Durban.
The inquiry into Gauteng prosecution's boss Andrew Chauke has rejected a request by evidence leaders to postpone hearings to 17 February. The inquiry will now resume on Thursday, 12 February, with Advocate Chauke's legal team cleared to start calling witnesses immediately. Evidence leaders have battled to bring witnesses before the inquiry after former NPA head Shamila Batoyi was grilled by Chauke's lawyers. They told the panel their witnesses are not ready. Dimakatso Leshoro has more.
The first to testify in Chauke's defense is Advocate Sello Maema, former Deputy Director of Public Prosecutions in the Northwest. The panel has set strict deadlines. Witness statements must be circulated 2 days before testimony, with the initial statement due by 10 February and any supplementary documents by 12 noon on 11 February. This change of plan comes after former NPA head Shamila Batoyi abandoned her testimony in December during cross-examination, citing a lack of legal representation. Batoyi has now appointed a legal team, but it's unclear when she will resume her testimony. The inquiry has until June to complete its work. Dimakatse Shoro, Eyewitness News.
Mineral and Petroleum Resources Minister Kwede Mantashe has warned African countries of race to the bottom, warning an increased demand for critical mineral resources will see continent shortchanged for its abundant resources. Mantashe was addressing delegates at their mining indaba in Cape Town today. The annual gathering of miners, government and financiers will run for 4 days, where the state of mining challenges and investment opportunities will take center stage. Nokanya Mtambo has more.
According to the Africa Finance Corporation, Africa hosts close to $39 trillion in on-site mineral value, the equivalent of more than 20% of global mineral wealth. but the continent captures only a fraction of the economic value. To address the issue of Africa failing to capture the far larger value created when minerals are created into steel, aluminium and batteries across the globe, Mineral and Petroleum Resources Minister Gwede Mantashe says the continent's leaders must sing from the same hymn book.
This continent owes it to itself to unite, work together, talk to the outside world as one.
This year's edition of the Mining Endeavour comes at a time of heightened geopolitical tensions, driven largely by the competition of some developed economies seeking greater control over the natural resources of developing nations. Mantashe says better collaboration between African countries can help avoid the destructive race to the bottom in the continent's engagement with global powers and investors. Nokukhanya Mtambo, Eyewitness News in Cape Town.
And the UN says drone strikes in war-torn Sudan have killed nearly 100 civilians and injured many in just over 2 weeks. According to the Office of the UN, at least 90 civilians were killed and 142 injured in drone strikes. The strikes, which were carried out by both Rapid Support Forces and Sudan's regular army, struck a World Food Programme convoy, markets, health facilities and residential neighbourhoods in the south and north of the country. A look at your weather. A partly cloudy Tuesday in store for Gauteng tomorrow. Temperatures drops to overnight lows of between 13 and 16 degrees, peaking at highs of between 29 and 32 degrees. Cape Town's also partly cloudy, along with fresh southeasterly winds at a high at 21, peaking at 27 degrees.
Leaving Sandton heading towards Midrand, you can still expect about a 20-minute delay M1 northbound from Collett to the Bethlehem interchange, while in Boksburg also about a 20-minute delay on the N17 eastbound between Osborne and Rangeview Road.
The top story in Eyewitness News this hour: police watchdog IPID has approached the Director of Public Prosecutions in KwaZulu-Natal to probe circumstances surrounding a deadly shootout between officers and criminals in Durban.
Clement Maniatella.
Weekday mornings,
9 to 12.
9 to 12.
Are you able to confirm, Spiwe, if the SANDF has promoted Soli Lichwenyo to General and Commanding Officer at the SANDF Special Forces?
Well, I'll have to refer back to the bulletin that has all the names and refer that, because that is the official document that I must refer to if somebody has been promoted.
But what you are aware of is that this same gentleman is soon to stand trial for murder.
I am aware, sir.
Okay. Spiwe Dlamini, SANDF spokesperson, thank you very much. I really appreciate your time.
Clement Maniatella.
9 to 12 on 702.
Smart Steve from Momentum, hello.
Smart Steve, my daughter just turned 18, right? And now she's got a license and a boyfriend.
You're worried about her safety. With Momentum Safety Alert, she can access help 24/7.
Is that the emergency response version of Curry in a Hurry?
For sure. She can get help at the touch of a button for free.
Free? For all that and all?
Visit momentum.co.za or call 0860 006 784. Momentum Insure, keeping you safe on your journey to success. Momentum Insure is an authorized non-life insurer. T's and C's apply.
Alcohol drowns our hope and fuels our pain. Our streets are flooded. Our families are breaking. Women and children are not safe. Alcohol kills 100 people in South Africa every day. For more information, visit www.truecostofalcohol.africa. Increase excise tax on alcohol.
LLB graduates can fast-track their legal career with the Law Society of South Africa's PVT School for Legal Practice. LPC accredited, this 4-month practice-ready course, which is taught by practicing lawyers, can reduce your PVT contract by 12 months for admission. Study by day, after hours, or via distance at campuses nationwide. The first 2026 intake runs from January to April. Applications close 31 October 2025. Apply now at lssalead.org.za. That's lssalead.org.za.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Hi, John. Just with regards to the tiff between Roedean and King David, the Roedean reasons or explanation they're given comes across as false, and it comes across as dishonest. They say that there was a clash with another workshop, But firstly, as you pointed out, this was organized well in advance. Secondly, if it really was a clash, they would have firstly let King David know beforehand that they can't make it, and they would have made plans to reschedule. Neither of which did they do. They simply didn't rock up. So that just doesn't hold water. And it may well be an issue with opposing the school because of the Zionist views on hold. But I mean, the first thing we need to do is just be honest. We can't really have a discussion if they won't even be honest about the real reasons or the cancer. So, yeah, I think Roedean is really being dishonest. Yeah.
With regards to the police, leave them alone. Let them do their job. These criminals should be eliminated on the spot. On the spot. And the moment there's an incident like this, the press blows it up and you give them a bad rap. Always trying to look for something to... These guys face fire every day from these thugs. They must shoot to kill.
I'd like to request the person that you interviewed from King David to define anti-Semitism. Because from what I understand, anti-Semitism is hatred towards Jews. But them not playing a school that's linked to Israel is not saying that they don't want to play against Jews. It's saying that they want to play against a school that's affiliated towards Israel. So the defense mechanism that they bring about, saying that if you against Israel anti-Semitic, is grossly incorrect, because there are Jews that are actually against the state of Israel, in the fact that the state of Israel is committing genocide.
Thanks for all of those. I just want to engage briefly on the thing about the police must kill, and now the media is making a big thing of it and looking for some way which to undermine the police. I get that people are furious about crime. I get that the police do an incredibly difficult and dangerous job, and that they are in many instances confronted by people who are going to shoot at them and shoot at them with the intention of killing them. Understand all of that. But what do you want us to do when 4 people have, according to the Independent Police Investigative Directorate, who do the work that their name implies, have found that 4 people who have no involvement in crime whatsoever were shot dead? That could be you. And I don't know how to easily resolve this. I really don't. But if you are saying that the police should just shoot and shoot to kill, that's fine, if that's the way you want to do it. But if you're saying this should be with no guardrails whatsoever, with no body that will investigate what they do, and no publicity as to what happens if they've made a mistake, and that the media should say nothing about it, I think you are looking for a system that could be perilous indeed. And that doesn't mean that they have to take it and suck it up and just accept their job is dangerous and accept that they're going to be killed. But when the mistakes are made, surely that has to be highlighted. 18 minutes to 6.
EWN Sport.
Tola Kele, a very good afternoon. It's interesting indeed. Is that enough runs for us?
Absolutely, John. And that's at the T20 World Cup, where South Africa posted 213 for 4. That's in the opening game of the tournament against Canada. Captain Aiden Markram top scored with 59 and David Miller added an unbeaten 39, while Anish Patel took 3 for 31. In response, the Canadians are currently 26 for the loss of 3 after 3 overs. They need 188 runs and 102 balls for victory. At the creases, Dhaliwal on 5, while so far Lungingidi has taken 3 wickets for 13 runs. A quarter-final spot is on offer for Kaizer Chiefs. That's if they can beat Zamalek in their final CAF Confederation Cup group game. The Glamour Boys top their group with 10 points from their 5 clashes, but Khalil Ben Youssef's Chargers face a daunting task as they travel to Cairo for the next encounter.
I think now we finish this game. We are number 1 in the group. If we want to qualify, like I said, we have to go to Egypt to fight, to come back with 3 points or at least minimum 1 point. All the players know the importance of this game. We are playing usually 3 games cup final, and we have to continue to work to come back with qualification.
Two managers under pressure meet in the Premier League tomorrow night as Tottenham Hotspur host Newcastle United. Eddie Howe admits he would step aside if he didn't think he was still the right man to lead the Magpies. That's after they were booed off by the supporters following a 3-2 defeat to Brentford.
I will always act in the best interest in the club with every decision that I make, whether that's about me or about any individual player. So I think when you're trying to act in that way and you're trying to think of the bigger picture, sort of the pressure that individuals or other people can put on you, it's irrelevant really. I have to live with my own thoughts of myself and what I'm delivering, and that's very honest to say that after the game that I need to do better, and I will do better. It's part of the evolution, it's part of growing.
For Thomas Frank, he still believes 15th on the log Spurs can get it right, despite having suffered a 10th league defeat of the season to Manchester United on Saturday.
I think there's no other alternative than keep going. I think that's fair to say, which we will do, of course. But of course, it is in life and football. There's very tough times. And then in the very tough times, there's head on, head down, stand up, face it, keep going. There's no other way. And that's what the players are doing, and I think they show it every single week. And the good thing is, I think actually, as I said, there was just Dortmund and Frankfurt, 2 good performances result.
The Blitzboks have moved up to second on the overall HSBC 7 Series log following their success in Perth. Ryan Oosthuizen was named player of the final following their 21-19 victory over Fiji.
100%. I think last week we lost against ourselves. We weren't clinical enough, and I think that's where the frustration came from. But like I mentioned, we were honest with one another. We made individual errors, not system errors. And I think, the individual stepped up. Obviously, experience was gained. Last week, lessons were learned, and we implemented very well this week.
An Australian sprinter, Gout has decided not to compete at the Commonwealth Games this year and will instead focus on the World Under-20 Championships. That's where he hopes to emulate the legendary Usain Bolt. Gout is a rising star, having won silver in the 200 meters at the 2024 World Under-20 Championships. That's with a time of 20.60 seconds. Tolagile Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
Okay, it's coming towards the end of the show. It's not the end of rush hour, though. Here's Karabo with the latest. Good afternoon.
Afternoon, John. Well, let me start in the city of Tshwane, Ekurhuleni, where there's slow-moving traffic on George Storer Drive. That's between Titoy and the Fountain Circle. Midrand, you can still expect about a 20-minute delay on the N1 northbound from the Bethlehem Interchange to Olifantsfontein Road, leaving Sandton heading towards Midrand. Also about a 20-minute delay on the M1 northbound from Caller Drive to the Bethlehem Interchange, while in the Joburg CBD heading towards Boysen, slow-moving traffic M1 south from Killarney Benz to the Crown Interchange, while in Edenville we still have bumper traffic R24 westbound. This is between Edenville Road and the Kilulis Interchange, heading towards Brakpan, leaving Boksburg. There's about a 20-minute delay. This is on the N17 eastbound between Rondebold and Rangeview Road. Also still in Boksburg, this time heading towards Benoni. Expect some delays on the N12 eastbound. This is between Croft Road and Atlas Road. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Stay with 702 Afternoon Drive with John Perlman. Brought to you by Telkom Business. Possible begins here.
You're with John Perlman
on 702.
Music in a moment, but Sipho was just engaging with me on what I said about whether we should be reporting things that like the IPID finding in regard to what appears to be the wrongful killing of 4 people in an anti-crime operation in the KwaMashu area of eThekwini. And Sipho makes this point, I think he frames it very clearly and well, and says, I think condemnation of wrong police action must be reported. It's the framing that such reporting can then seems to be dodgy if the reporting wants to suggest a slowdown by the police. Medical malpractice, Sipho says, is not met with stoppage suggestions of medical procedures. We correct. We do not stop. Thank you. 12 minutes to 6.
John is on X.
At John Perlman.
702 Drive. Okay, music time. We've got a theme for you to get the week started. Today we thought songs that have numbers in the title. Songs that have numbers in the title. I mean, I was going to say there are dozens of them. There are a number of them, and I hope you can find out one you particularly like. I bet many of you know this song. I don't know if you like it, but I think most of you do. This is from Nena, 99 Red Balloons.
You and I in a little toy shop, buy a bag of balloons with the money we've got, set them free at the break of dawn, till one by one they were gone. Back at base, box in the software, flash the message, something's out there, floating in the summer sky. 99 red balloons go by.
Nine und 90 Luftballons. Did I get that even vaguely right? A band in those days, a West German band, because the Berlin Wall hadn't yet fallen, still two Germanys. But 1983, 99 Red Balloons, Luftballons by Nena. So, songs with numbers in the title. Do give us a call on that on 011 883 0702. Send us a WhatsApp to that number and we'll see if we've got the song. We'll play it if we can. But we'd love to hear your suggestions on our musical theme for the day. 702 10 to 6.
In the last 24 hours, this is what's happened in your world.
It's emerged that before his death by suicide, former police reservist Riandre Pretorius was seen in a heated argument with a woman believed to be his fiancée. Pretorius died on Saturday after allegedly shooting himself at a petrol station in Brakpan, days after he survived an alleged hit in Boksburg. He had been the first person of interest questioned by police following the murder of Marius van der Merwe, who was a key witness at the Madlanga Commission. Van der Merwe had implicated Pretorius in the torture and killing of Emmanuel Mbenze on the East Rand in 2022.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent.
Corporates That Care promotes and encourages corporate leaders and all citizens to walk the talk for a better South Africa. Catch Corporates That Care this Wednesday at 10 to 9, featuring Rompco. Their CEO, Mlanzeni Boyce, will be in conversation with Bongani Bingwa. And join us every Wednesday as we highlight the efforts of companies and brands dedicated to building our country. Corporates That Care is a Prime Media Cares initiative with 702 and Prime Media Outdoor. 702, let's walk the talk and make a difference together.
The Checkers Extravaganza is now on. Save extra on new deals every week. Like Coca-Cola Original Taste Less Sugar Soft Drink, 2 litres, 2 for 45 Rand. Nestle Mini Chocolate Fun Bags, any 2 for 89 Rand. And Clover Butro Full Cream Modified Butter Spread, 500 grams, 2 for 159 Rand. Valid until 15 February 2026. Only at Checkers, Checkers Hyper, or shop on 6060.
Don't pay more than you need to for car insurance. 27-year-old Outsurance client Liam is saving big bucks.
I'm saving so much every month, around 640 Rand.
That's an amazing 640 Rand saving on Liam's 2024 Ranger. SMS out to 45142. Let's hear how 45-year-old Nivan feels about saving 461 Rand a month on his 2025 VWT Cross.
Saving me so much money, 461 Rand.
Nice one. And after 3 claim-free years, you get an out bonus.
So much money.
Get a quote now and see how much money Outsurance could save you. SMS out to 45142. If you don't save, ask for 500 Rand or 1,500 Rand if you've been claim-free and with the same insurer for 3 years. Savings or cash. You have nothing to lose with Outsurance. SMS out to 45142. That's out to 45142. Licensed insurer in FSP. TCs and information online.
702 Drive with John Perlman was proudly brought to you by Telkom Business. Possible begins here.
702.
Call John
on 011
883
0702.
Okay, who we've got? We've got Mark in Centurion. Mark, songs, numbers. Over to you. Good afternoon.
Yeah, hi, John. 9 to 5 by Dolly Parton, also known as Twin Peaks.
Also known as what?
Twin Peaks.
Oh, Win Big. Okay. 9 to 5 by Dolly Parton. Mark in Centurion. Thank you.
Tumble out of bed and I stumble to the kitchen. Pour myself a cup of ambition and yawn and stretch and try to come to life. Jump in the shower and the blood starts pumping. Out on the streets, the traffic starts jumping with folks like me on the job from 9 to 5. Working 9 to 5. What a way to make a living. Barely getting by. It's all taking and no giving. They just use your mind and they never give you credit.
Dolly Parton, 9 to 5. Of course, a film in which she also starred alongside Jane Fonda and Lily Tomlin. Good one. Okay, what else have we got? Let's hear.
Dr. John, good afternoon. Paul in Randfontein. Even when I do not get in touch with you guys, I'm always tuned in. Great show as always. Please sample Katie Melua's 9 Million Bicycles with a reference to today's kind of music on the listener's mind. Thank you.
There are 9 million bicycles in Beijing. That's a fact. It's a thing we can't deny. Like the fact that I will love you till I die. We are 12 billion light years from the edge. That's a guess.
Yeah, going for big numbers there, Paul. 9 million bicycles in Beijing and 12 billion light years from the edge. Gorgeous song, I think. Katie Melua, a British singer but born in Georgia. Not Georgia, but in Georgia in Eastern Europe. Raised in Belfast in Northern Ireland, eventually winding up in London. Terrific song. Thank you for that. Ryan's in Edenvale. Hi, Ryan.
Hi, John. How are you?
Yeah, good, you.
I'm good, thank you. So my song is, in my opinion, one of the greatest songs ever. It is The Summer of 69 by Bryan Adams.
Okay, let's put your greatest song ever to the test. Bryan Adams, Summer of 69.
I got my first real six string, bought it at the 5 and dime, played it till my fingers bled. Was the summer of 69. Me and some guys from school had a band and we tried real hard. Jimmy quit, Jody got married. Should've known we'd never get far. Oh, when I look back now, the summer seemed to last forever. And if I had the choice, yeah, those won't all be there. Those were the best days of my life.
Yeah, Summer of 69, Bryan Adams, who is heading this way, I believe. I know Kabazella's quite a fan, so he's got April. He's going to be here in April. Have you got tickets? Yeah, you don't have to share one to me. Not a big fan, me, but yeah, highly successful and much loved in this particular 702 show team, as I said, by Kabazela. Okay, we got time for one more, I think. Barbara is calling us from out in Brits. Good afternoon to you, Barbara.
Good afternoon, John.
Yes.
John, I would like you to play the song In the Year 2525. Very apocalyptic lyrics.
Oh, okay, but
Yeah.
It's not going to make us miserable, is it?
No. But
No,
they are
I'm
quite
just kidding you.
interesting. It's a song from 1969.
Okay. In the year
When I was young. Yeah.
we all were at one point. Barbara, thank you. Calling us
Thank you,
from
John.
Brits. In the year 2525, Zager and Evans.
In the year 2525, if man is still alive, if woman can survive, they may find. In the year 35, ain't gonna need to tell the truth, tell no lies. Everything you think, do, and say is in the pill you took today. In the year 45, ain't gonna need your teeth, won't need your eyes. You won't find a thing to chew. Nobody's
Zager and Evans from 69. Vague memories of that, I have to say. Couple of you, a few more here. Tsele says, one of the songs is by the Jacksons. The song is 23 Jackson Street. And 5446, that's my number, by Toots and the Maytools, says Nevungoni, on the line from Alberton. I'm John Perlman. It's been great to spend Monday afternoon with you. From all of us, good night.
And now, The Money Show.
With Stephen Grootes, live on 92.7 and 106 FM. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
And DSTV channel 856.
The Money Show with Stephen Grootes is brought to you by Absa Corporates and Investment Banking, balancing economic growth with ecosystems. That's how they're invested in your story. Good evening. On your Money Show tonight, the mining Indaba sees huge interest in the sector. The Minerals Council, Zimzile Mthanjani, will explain what government can do to drive more exploration, while the natural diamond industry tries to stave off the fight from artificial diamonds. Check